The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Fun. Everybody was having a good time.
Does Brian Albert strike you as the kind of guy who is always having fun? No. And here's a news flash for this judge. Mental health professionals have solutions.
They made him arrest. I got the guy from Danny.
It was like a mix between sadness and anger, because that's the moment for him when he really started to believe that his mother was involved.
The only corresponding records in the other databases are from previous days.
There is a huge psychological component to what was going on here. And according to this group, Brian Albert Jr. gets like the most celebrated birthday hour of anybody ever. Like every 30 seconds, someone's like, "Happy birthday!" John totally seemed like such a cool guy.
John makes me like
Somebody jumps in as a journalist, draws attention to it in a light that is not good for the prosecution. I mean, and there are serious allegations of corruption in the DA's office and the state police.
It's not like his 21st birthday. Hi, loophole lawyer. How are you?
It feels great. It feels good to be back.
I'm going to go with the seahorse because certainly I've gotten a lot of love from everybody today, which feels nice.
You are very, very loved. And I can't believe we get to spend your birthday with you. Happy birthday!
Text messages read back as if he's the aggrieved party.
Hold on. Have each of you been called murderers?
Who wants to be the one to give Matt the bad news?
I wanted to prove or to demonstrate.
I don't know where the dog was. I didn't hear any barking. Her name is Sunny. She was named after Santino Corleone.
Oh my God, this is he.
Hey, hi, everybody. There's my Johnny. Hello. That's my Johnny.
Sunny barks if you walk by my window and sneeze. You're not really going to deny this, are you?
it's so weird. It's like the Inside Out, upside down. Narnia.
I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
Know if we had it enough, or we had it all, I should say.
Kill me. Not having any observable or detectable electrical activity would be asystole.
Means death. 3 separate tab IDs. The thing he had to encourage her to do was not to testify.
You know, and Julia Albert responds to the text message from John, and she goes, "My biggest fear in life is ending up on Turtle Boy."
Stop it.
Oh, you never seen that? Oh, I got it.
You're not going to like this, though. You're going to disagree with me on
Just say it. I like the
disagreement.
conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, the disagreement.
I'd say the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
People are terrified of him. They're absolutely terrified of him. And how do we know that? We know that from Mega Motion. Just another day for me, right? Which means it was just not an ordinary day for somebody else. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back.
Karen Reed plots. She fabricates a conspiracy.
I am just a person who likes to understand. That's going to increase the likelihood that we're going to take some action.
Here she is.
My sister Jillian, yes.
It's funny. But then he's got part of his shirt untucked. His back pocket is kind of hanging out.
He has to buy that. So, he has to buy that. So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they?
Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday Night Live. And tonight is truly special. I'm coming to you from a special new location. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully, we do not have any internet problems. So, fingers crossed. This is the backyard. This is like the pool house spot in the backyard. So, hopefully, it all goes well. But much more importantly, I'm so excited. We have a very special guest who I cannot wait to bring on. So we're just going to cut right to it and welcome aboard Attorney Larry Foreman. Hello.
Hey, how are you? How's it going?
Oh my God. I feel like I don't even know what to say. I'm a little bit speechless. I'm kind of fangirling because you are, in my mind, synonymous with kind of the Karen Reed case. Like, I grew up with you, I feel like, when it comes to this case. So welcome. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and meet your audience and have a conversation with you.
Yeah. So we got to start, I think, at the beginning, which is tell me. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like I learned about this case very beginning, trial one. I mean, I think I had heard about it, but was not paying attention. And then, of course, as soon as I started watching the trial, which was like a day in, I was completely hooked. But you obviously, predate that by quite a bit. And so how did you end up, getting interested in this case and learning about it and all of that?
So actually, I wouldn't say that I predate that by quite a bit. So let me tell you, I originally found out about this case from, you know how I'm sure your audience will kind of nudge you in a certain direction. You'll get like one email, you'll get a second email, like, hey, you should look into this. Like people have been telling me about the Reckless Ben Lego situation that I've been trying to get my hands on. I just can't get my groove going in that regard. But anyway, I don't want to talk about things off topic too much. What ended up happening was in September of 2023, about 9 months, 7 months, whatever, before the first trial, I started getting an influx of emails. And when I get one email, that's one thing. When I get 3 or 4 emails and messages from completely unrelated people saying, Larry, you need to look into this, I start paying attention. I'm much like you, I'm sure. When you're like getting seeds basically being thrown in your direction and you're just like, okay, these people are talking about the exact same thing. Clearly something is going on. I need to look into this. And that was the Karen Reed situation. Now, back then, this was before trial one. This is, like I said, September of 23. I found Aidan, Turtle Boy, and I said, hey, man, do you want to come on my show just so we can talk about this? And he said, sure. Yeah, I'll come on. And he came on. I remember I was traveling back then. I was in Europe. And I was in this little, like hotel room. There was like a Romeo and Juliet. There were 2 sister, hotel like cabins or whatever you want to call them. And I was in Romeo and then Juliet next door. And I was just streaming from that little room. And I had Turtle Boy on. And I remember very distinctly, I remember like it was yesterday, even though it was almost 3 full years ago. I literally said the words. I said, wait, can you show me a photo of the SUV? And can you show me a photo of the autopsy or a series of photos of the autopsy? And I will tell you whether or not there has been a car accident or not. It's a very simple case. I don't understand what's happening here. And so, or potentially a simple case. Well, he sent me the photos backstage. I didn't share, obviously, the autopsy photos. I think we may have shared the SUV photos. So for monetization and YouTube purposes, you don't want to alienate.
Right, of course.
To show gore, gruesome stuff, right? So anyway, the long and short of it is I looked at it and I said, yeah, this man was not hit by a car, period, the end. And I was like, this trial is going to be the shortest trial in history. They're probably going to miss it. It's not even going to go to trial.
Right.
And then I learned better.
Right. And that is what makes this case it sucks you in, right? Because it defies logic in every way. It's mind-boggling. Why is this happening? Why are we still here? Why are we having this debate when the car did not touch John and John did not make contact with the car? And it's just that simple. And if you know anything, and this is what I love, the attorneys who specialize particularly in like accidents, car accidents, things like that. It's just so obvious, right? Because you see car accidents all the time. And so, and yeah, I mean, that car people too. I mean, there are just certain people that know when they look at this case without blinking an eye that there was no accident. And you don't have to know that to eventually come to that conclusion. But if you do, it's just an immediate like, oh, okay, so what are we doing? And
What's going on here? Exactly.
and that's exactly the question we're still asking. I mean, however many years, here we are, years later, still asking that question. It's unbelievable. Did you ever think in a million lifetimes that we would be here 4 years after the fact? I mean, it's just forever. It's crazy.
No, I was convinced when the second trial ended. I'll be honest. I mean, I know it's a woman's freedom at stake. It's like her entire life has been turned upside down because of these people. But of course, I have to look out after my own interest. And I was like, man, this trial is over. Like, what am I gonna do now? No, I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm half kidding. Because then the Adelson trial happened in September.
Oh, there's so much. Yeah.
And then we had like Matt Walsh, which I didn't even cover, and Tyler Robinson. There's so much stuff.
There is.
I'm being consumed. My channel is being consumed. There's even like a running joke on my channel that it's no longer Attorney Larry Foreman. It's the Karen Reed show,
right?
On Attorney Larry Foreman's channel because, well, first of all, there's finally a lot of traction. Back in September, October, November, December, it was moving really slow. Everything was, kind of on the civil side, on the civil case.
That's right. Yeah.
Things were moving pretty slowly. But then like January, February, March, every month, we're starting to speed up. Like every day we have something new, some new motion, some new hearing. I just covered I didn't cover it live because I pre-record and then my editor edits. So I actually, right before coming on your show, I already recorded the hearing of the Colin Albert motion.
Yeah.
I'm sure you already did it with your audience, and if not,
yes,
you should absolutely do it.
That's what we'll be doing once we say goodbye to you. That's what we're going to be turning our attention to. Yeah, because we're sort of looking at it through the lens of Colin's involvement and Colin in the house, and that's actually a question I was going to save for later. But since we're kind of already there,
sure.
As an attorney, here's my question to you, because I will tell you, until I started doing this, whatever this is, a year ago, I never in a million lifetimes imagined I would be doing anything on YouTube. When I tell you it was like a week earlier, I started the channel and then the channel happened. That's about as much forethought because I was just so upset about what was going on with Karen Reed. I didn't know what was going to happen. Once the trial ended, I didn't know whether I'd still be having a channel. Like I just didn't know. Right.
Well,
so, cause I'm a therapist,
I don't tell you what to do, Sam, but honestly, there are so many things as a therapist you can talk about. Yeah.
So, anyway, right. And I learned that after, like I immediately learned that, right. Just case after case. And now I don't know where to put my attention, but I am still a therapist and, had a successful practice and still now have to figure out, how to navigate a lot of things all at once. But in doing that, had no, and knock on wood, this is a good thing, no experience or exposure with the law, with, attorneys. None of this was in my wheelhouse. So it took me, a lot of trial watching to start to get, the hang of it, the basics down. But when I look at the evidence in the Karen Reed case, right, and I'm thinking about a jury with everything that I know, and I'm completely biased all the way down all the rabbit holes. Is there a case as it stands, based on everything we know today, could you as a lawyer, not that we know they won't, but if you're the district attorney, and do you think there's enough evidence to bring a case against somebody in the house?
Oh, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? I'm going to answer it this way, Sam. Here's what I'm hoping. And I forget his name, I apologize. The guy who is running for DA's office that everyone is rooting for.
Adam Deitch.
Adam Deitch. Yeah, Adam. If Adam wins, here's what's going to happen. And this is what I'm praying for. Are you familiar at all with the Johnny Depp trial?
A little bit. I saw the end. Yeah.
So you don't need to know too much. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, Amber's mountain of evidence.
No, I didn't,
Never
but
got a chance
okay.
to be like the light of the courtroom, so to speak, right?
Okay.
You'll see where I'm going with this. Just follow my lead. I promise. It's
Sure.
going somewhere good. So if theoretically she had this mountain of evidence that the Judge Panias Karate refused to introduce into evidence and never saw the light of day, all we have to do is look at what Justin Baldani did in the Blake Lively case. He just released it to the internet. He just blasted it. He created a website and blasted it all over social media and the internet because he had evidence to show that he is not the guilty party here. And even though Blake is suing me, Justin's like, here you go. Enjoy the read. This is all I have. And you make the choice. Am I guilty or am I innocent? Amber, for instance, had a very similar position. She could have done the exact same thing. Because these mountains of evidences don't exist, obviously. Otherwise, she would have released them. It's okay. So they didn't make it into court. Release them, make a website, make a whatever, domain name. I promise you, people will flock to it. People love a good gossip.
Yeah.
But she never did because they don't exist. So how is this related to the Karen Reed case? Actually, here we have a mountain of evidence. Now, some of it may have been destroyed. Some of it may have been irretrievably destroyed. Some of it, we're now starting to learn, may have been retrievably destroyed. So if it's like in the cloud somewhere, it can still be like re-extracted. Because I love the phrase of, I upgraded my phone in the first trial that everybody was using, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, all of them. When you go into the Apple store, the Samsung store, whatever, you can tell them, hey, I would like to keep my data from my previous phone, so please transfer it, or go ahead and destroy everything. Give me a brand new spanking phone, just absolutely wiped clean. But the data doesn't just completely disappear. It's still, there are traces of it that get stored somewhere that can potentially be extracted and brought back by an expert, excuse me. So here's the final piece. If Adam wins the election, there is, I guarantee it, a mountain of stuff that Morrissey is sitting on as we speak.
That's true.
So unless he's going to find a way to destroy it before he leaves, which is going to be, I mean, I don't know how catastrophic because at that point, actually, he could theoretically be prosecuted for destroying or potentially exculpatory evidence, which goes beyond the pale. I mean, we're going down the rabbit hole. You wanted a rabbit hole. I'm giving you a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
This kind of stuff on my channel yet, just because, but you asked it. So in order for a prosecution to happen, we have to get our hands on something. It doesn't have to necessarily be a smoking gun, but so long as it is at least like a conversation, between Brian Higgins, let's say, and Brian Albert, or something like that exists in the bowels of the Norfolk County DA's office that says, hey, blah-de-blah, that does not comport with the testimony in the trial. Well, boom, you just got perjury. And that is going to be the first domino to fall. Because once you if he starts actually charging people, because first of all, who can go down as we speak? Kerry Roberts can be charged with perjury. I think we all know that. Your audience probably knows the famous clip, right? I don't have to talk about that in depth. We can potentially go after Jennifer McCabe, or not Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert, actually, for failing to report a crime.
Okay.
If he has any knowledge.
Like in his house, you're saying, because it's his house. Yeah.
Because it's his house.
Yep.
That one is a stretch, but it's a possibility. Maybe Allie McCabe, with her slip up, it seems like she can at least be, I don't know, maybe subpoenaed for questioning.
Right. That's such a good point, right? Because to your point, these people have never been brought in and been seriously questioned. They've never been, like, their information has never been subpoenaed. There hasn't been geofence data. There hasn't been extensive cell phone records pulled, as far as any of us are aware, right? So until you actually do the deep dive, to see what is there, nobody really can answer those kind of intricate questions.
Exactly.
It's such a important point, right? Because and that's what these people are fighting so hard against. I mean, with, for
course.
example, this Colin Albert stuff, right? Oh, he doesn't Colin doesn't have any interactions with anyone after January 29th. His phone just doesn't work anymore for the next 6 months, right? What do you think about this with Colin? So, I mean, do you think that it appears to be just on its face incriminating the way that they are handling him?
Yes, but I do have a caveat, and I'm gonna have to spoil the video for you just a little bit, if that's okay.
Okay. No, of course.
So today we learned that the reason that Tewksbury stated in court that we're not going to be able to provide all of Colin's documents and transcripts of text messages and all that is because it's, quote, too expensive.
Oh.
Which, and as your audience will see if they check out my video tomorrow, is one of the weakest arguments you can make in court. Because if you can, up until this point, he's been arguing it's overly broad, it's not narrowly tailored, it's asking for too much. But in court, I was expecting to hear those same things he made in the motion. He floundered so much that I think he forgot his own argument. He just said it's too expensive, which made no sense at all. If cost is your only issue, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
I think he may have accidentally slipped out the truth, which is they don't want to spend all this money, extracting Colin's phone and all that, which I understand is still in existence. And, because nobody ever said that he upgraded his phone. I don't remember him ever upgrading his phone. So
It's interesting.
Rosenberg and Jackson and Seligson are all relying on that Colin's phone, that maybe we can at least find something there. We can mine it for information, but Tewksbury is refusing. And today the judge, as you will see, again, trust me when I say I actually didn't spoil anything for you, because when you watch it, it is just magnificent. The hearing is so awesome.
Yeah, I saw at the beginning. It was awesome. And so
he just goes right
to your point. Yeah, he goes right in. It's like in and out really quick. But to your point about the way the judge is sort of handling Colin, and this is sort of my point, but they decided to bring a lawsuit. And I'm glad the judge kind of named that, right? Because wait a minute, this is the same kid who 2 weeks before he just disappeared into the army, indefinitely. He brought a lawsuit. So what was the plan there? He was just going to bring the lawsuit and then disappear. Like you didn't have the money to bring that suit, but you don't want to pay for cell phone stuff. And it just,
Well, be careful, because people say, where are they getting all this money? And I made a video about like their fundraiser and all that. So I don't know what kind of contract they have with Tewksbury. I don't know if it's a pure contingency or a hybrid contingency retainer. And here's what they are. Pure contingency means you sign, usually it's 33 1/3 to 40%. And if we win, I get to keep, as the attorney, 33 1/3 to 40%, whatever we agreed upon. No upfront cost to you. It's called a no fee guarantee, or no win, no fee guarantee. You literally are out of pocket $0.00. If I lose as the attorney, if I lose the case, well, I'm just out my expenses and my time.
Okay.
So saying that Colin has, paid for this lawyer, now more than likely, I think you're still correct. In the event that it is not a pure contingency and it is a hybrid contingency retainer, that one works a little bit differently. That one also has the contingency element to it, but you pay something up front, like let's say $50,000, $100,000. It could be as low as $5,000 or $10,000 for the lawyer to at least kind of recoup initial expenses to see if the case is going to go anywhere. Now, those are much rarer and instituted much more seldomly. That's a word. They're much more seldom, but they do exist. And again, without looking at the contract between Colin Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert, and Tuxbury's firm, Hinkleberry or whatever that firm name is, Hinkle. We don't know exactly what is the nature of the relationship between attorney and client. So we don't know if they actually paid anything up front. If I were to bet money, I would say they paid something. There's no way that any attorney would take a defamation case unless you just want the reputation to get your name out there. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, which is a terrible thing to think about, because I would never in a million years for any amount of money would want to take it.
Right.
So I'm an example to ask. But if I were in some parallel universe, Dark Larry or whatever,
right,
then maybe Dark Larry would take this case, but there's no way I would take it on a pure contingency because it's too risky.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's really tough. It's a really tough case. What did you think? So kind of switching over to the defamation side, the only comment that I've heard, I guess, that was objective from any attorney generally is that it's well written. That because it's very long, it's like 90 points. I forget exactly, how many pages, but it's a very well written legal document, I guess. I disagree. And I think 95% of it is just absolute nonsense. I mean, couldn't be just like pulled out of thin air and, complete nonsense. And in order to make that document, they really have to like bend reality and take things out of context and misrepresent, messages from Yannetti and the whole thing is just a disgrace. But somebody took the time to put that document together.
Yeah.
So you have to think there's number one, do you take cases that you don't believe in at all? I mean, you have to believe in it a little bit, I would think.
Yes. I think here's how I can describe it. So there are lawyers out there who make a reputation for themselves of taking cases that they don't care about what anyone else thinks. They look at the case in a bubble themselves. And the problem with doing that, well, let me take a step back. So let's say the attorneys, Tuxbury and the team, actually looked at the criminal cases and watched them. The standard in criminal cases is beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to find a person guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, these are all civil cases. The defamation, the wrongful death, these are all civil cases. There is no beyond a reasonable doubt. There is no guilt or innocence. It is liability or non-liability. Are you liable or are you not liable? And the standard is preponderance of the evidence. And preponderance of the evidence in law is defined as a drop above 50%, an oomph above 50%, something that would make the scales of justice go from exactly even to tilted in one direction. If you can get that, you won. Whereas beyond a reasonable doubt, you can imagine is at least visually kind of looks like this.
Yep. Of course. Yep.
Now, some jurisdictions like Kentucky, we're not allowed to define what reasonable doubt is. Believe me, I know with my extensive criminal defense experience. But in other jurisdictions, you can, like South Carolina, California, they have like entire charts, Arizona, where they define like this is what reasonable doubt is not. And it's like very likely happened or something like that is like all the way at the top, right below, or yeah,
definitely.
Right. Like, almost definitely is
right.
Like not guilty. And I love those. I wish we could use them in Kentucky. We can't. But in the civil case, and now I'm going back to your original question, Tuxbury, why did they take this case? Is because the threshold is much lower. Everybody and their mother is familiar with the O.J. Simpson situation.
Yeah.
O.J. lost on the civil side. He won in court on the criminal side, not guilty, after 9 months of torturing the jury with brilliant defense work. But on the civil side, it didn't fly. And that's what the O'Keefes, the McCabe's, the Alberts, they're all counting on, that the system will fail Karen.
So let's pretend that these cases, let's start with the O'Keefe case because it's fresh in our minds, just mentioned it. Let's say that in that case, now they're going to be the plaintiff. So I'm assuming this works in a similar way as a criminal trial. The plaintiff gets to present their case first, right? And then the defense. So if the defense can prove, once again, no accident, which is, I'm sure, going to be the goal right out of the gate for them, then that case essentially is lost. I mean, if there's no accident, then Karen is just not responsible for anything that they're claiming.
That's exactly what I am praying and I hope will happen. Yes, because all of the facts and evidence that was used to win the criminal case, which is a much higher threshold, as we discussed, much more difficult for the prosecution to attain. But here, and this is what I'm also hoping for, and you just, I think we're on the precipice of it. Remember all the evidence that Auntie Bev did not allow in the criminal trial, the third-party culprit defense? Well, we don't have a definitive ruling yet, one way or the other, whether or not that's coming in. I remember the judge was kind of on the fence back in, when was that hearing? I want to say like December, maybe January. It was like on the maybe February. I forget. I'm losing track of my months now.
So many cases too.
It's so many cases too. Exactly. But anyway, at any rate, a few months ago, he was on the record. I remember I was doing this hearing. I was covering it. And Rosenberg was trying to bring in a Zoom hearing that we need to depose like all these people. We have a third-party culprit defense, yada, yada, yada. All the old stuff from the criminal trials that Auntie Bev blocked. And the judge was just kind of like, he didn't really take a stance. He didn't say, oh, no, absolutely not. That's not coming in. He didn't say, oh, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to let it in. He just kind of sat back and waited, I think. It seemed like to me. And he's still waiting to see. But as we can tell, Colin, a non-party that needs to be deposed, we're getting a little bit of insight the past couple of weeks into Judge, is it Gildea? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah. I think that's right. Gildea. I think.
His mindset. We're getting to see a little bit how where he is leaning. And to me, my own personal opinion is that he is clearly and unequivocally going to allow the third-party culprit defense to move forward because, number one, he is not bought and paid for like Auntie Bev. He's not related or, staying at their summer home at Hilton.
No, not that we know of. Yes.
And he seems to be a no-nonsense kind of guy. So I think that he's going to allow, it's going to be a much more, extensive trial with respect to the third-party culprit defense, because we're going to have a lot more evidence, I think. And like I said, I keep coming back to it because I think Adam's victory is going to change the course of the civil cases, because he is going to get into the bowels of the Norfolk County DA's office and he's going to get his hands on all the stuff Morrissey buried and go, here it is, enjoy. So
yeah, very interesting.
A great year.
Yeah. So, and we're only at the beginning now. I mean, they're just taking depositions. And so tell us that process, depositions is like is that the first kind of exchange of? No. Okay. So tell us what happens in terms of like the evidentiary exchange.
There are 4 tools, 3 written tools and 1 spoken, if you will, tool that lawyers use in civil cases. You have something known as interrogatories. That's the first tool. Interrogatories, very simple. They usually start out with state your name, where do you live, how are you related to, blah, 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 whatever. And then they'll just start ask you questions. So where were you on, please state your location on such and such date. What happened? How did it happen? Who did you talk to? What did you do? Blah, blah, blah. It's just to kind of get like a preview of all your information. Then with respect to the case, then you have the secondary tool, which is the request for production of documents. Those two kind of go hand in hand. They usually get submitted at the same time. It's not uncommon for them to be done at the exact same time. And they may also be supplemented in the interrogatory. So like a question may go, by the way, if you had any conversations, please provide any text messages, social media posts, blah, 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 in request for production of documents number 3.
Okay. Yeah.
So whatever evidence that you have that is tangible, that we can actually look at, put our hands on, photographs, text messages, emails, etc., that's the request for production of documents. And then you have something known as requests for admission. That is a very unique tool. It is very often used, and it's usually very, very short, relatively speaking, compared to the other documents. It may have as few as 4 questions. Like in a car accident case, it'll ask you, like, admit or deny that at the time you approached the intersection, your light was red, if you're the defendant, right? And admit or deny that you ran the red light. Admit or deny that, I mean, you rarely will see something like this. I'm just making it up here, but admit or deny that you caused the accident. I mean, that would kill the entire case. You just won if you just admit.
Right.
Request for admissions. But some attorneys will try and kind of weasel that in.
Sure.
And of course, you can always object and say, objection, this is an improper request, blah, blah, blah. Or just, I absolutely deny, here's my justification. Sometimes you don't even have to justify if you don't want to. So there's a lot of gamesmanship you can play with the responses or the writing of these 3 tools. So those are the 3 written tools. The 4th one is what you just mentioned, is depositions. That is after you've, and by the way, the requests for admissions are used to narrow down the issues. So at least if there's like liability is not a question, like the driver admitted, I'm sorry, it was my fault, but there is some other issue as to why I shouldn't pay what you're asking me to pay. So the request for admissions will resolve the liability because the driver will have admitted, yes, I ran the red light, but, and then you kind of go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
So now you don't have to litigate. You don't have to
have
like half a trial spent on whether or not you ran the red light. You just admitted it. We're saving everybody time, money, energy, etc. So then once you have those 3 written tools, you get to the deposition portion. And that is when you get to sit down. There's a court reporter. It's sworn testimony. This is the beauty of depositions. All of these answers, by the way, they're all also sworn, notarized. And your deposition, you can't just say whatever you want and be like, okay, whatever, I'll see you at trial. The opposing party is going to get a transcript from the court reporter of everything that you said, and it will be used against you when you testify in court. So that's kind of where this, we're still in the discovery stage of the O'Keefe case, which is mind-boggling to think about, that this case has been pending for 2.5 years now, I think, something like that. It was filed between the first and the second trial in July, I believe, of 2024. So, yeah, we're coming up on 2 years.
It's crazy. Very crazy.
We're at the deposition stage in that trial. I don't know if that answers your question. You asked.
That's the one. I know. Is that the one is that what the Colin was about today? I've lost track. It was, yes. That was what the Colin situation was about today. Because
and he's also got a production of documents element to it.
Right.
So again, I don't want to, if I start talking about it, like you'll watch the video and you'll be like, oh, I want to save it for your video.
No, absolutely. But it's very helpful because again, like there's just so much activity and Karen just dropped, what was that, a couple of weeks ago, the case with Proctor and Goode against the Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton, which is a separate, obviously related, but separate, monster, really mammoth, case in and of itself. What was your reaction to that, to that insanity? I mean, right.
I made one of my most watched videos on it, I think. So yeah, trust me. That
insanity.
Absolute insanity. I mean, look, I've met a lot of people in my life. And obviously I hang out in different circles than the kinds that Proctor hangs out in. But the level of disgust, the level of vileness that this man has, the racism, the homophobia, the anti-Semitism, the sexism, it just goes on and on. Like I didn't know these kinds of people existed. And if I know they exist, but we don't get to like encounter them in daily life, like in a day-to-day situation, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And to just have to read all of that, it was just so it's
Oh
still
my God.
heebie-jeebies, but it had to be done. He has to be talked about. You can't just be like, oh, I don't like how this makes me feel, so I'm not going to cover it.
No.
It's a content.
No.
creator. I mean, I'm sure you know as well as I.
Yeah. It's overwhelming,
Yeah.
actually. Right? It's overwhelming. The pictures of, black children in cages. I mean, it just the most appalling stuff
That's
you
the
could
King stuff,
imagine.
though. That's separate. That was the Miles King.
Oh, that was the King trove of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I saw it. That
Which
one I did not cover just because I was like, it
Oh
was
my
already
God.
beaten to death. I was like, I'm stepping away from that one.
Yeah, but it makes sense why she's bringing it there, right? Of course, because she's trying to get that case dismissed as she should. I mean, this is a tough place for a lot of Massachusetts courts to be in because now Proctor's going to get dragged through the mud and how many thousands of cases are going to get called into question because he was the case manager, lead detective on those cases. Good too.
Yep. And some other ones who they communicated with, like Buchanan and what's his name? Foley, the one in
Foley, yeah.
Sandra
Kevin
Birchmore.
Foley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah,
I-
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure he's involved in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And that's just what we've seen. I mean, if there's 40,000 pages of, text messages, you wonder what else is there that we don't know about. You almost don't want to know, but because clearly Proctor didn't have a problem. Like he didn't hold his tongue, right? I mean, he clearly just
Clearly.
spoke his mind wherever he was. So he thought it was okay. I mean, he just thought it was okay to speak that way openly. And I think that's the part that is just so much more troubling. This was the DA's office.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they did nothing,
unbelievable.
and they covered for him and Goode. I mean, notice how out of all people, Goode got to keep his position until just a couple of weeks ago when he resigned, when they tipped him off and said, "Hey, bud, it's time to go." And he said, "Roger that, chief." And he resigned. Like he's taking out the trash on a Tuesday evening, It's just the more I'm doing this stuff and I have my audience is split. 90% are with me, like they dislike cops, they distrust government. I do have about like 5 to 10% who are like believe officers and they want to believe in the power of the law, the light of the law, if any of it exists anymore. And some of them kind of will message me things like, Larry, I really love what you do, but I hate how much you're like a cop hater or whatever. I'm not a cop hater. I just despise liars on the stand when they happen to be police officers. I don't think that. But
Yes,
I had my fair share in my jury trials. So I have personal experience with them attacking my own clients and having to defend against that. So I have intimate experience with that. And then I also get the opposite. Say, Larry, I've been dating a police officer. I've been living with one. I've been married to one. And you would not believe, and they'll tell me the phrase I learned actually quite recently. I feel like I should have known it for years, but lie till you die is the phrase. Lie till you die. Basically, keep lying, keep making stuff up, keep gaslighting, do not relent, do not admit whatever you do, just keep lying through your teeth. And it's like, come on, man. And it's real. I believe it. People, I know when I get an email that is suspicious and when it's just somebody just speaking their mind.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Me, their peace of mind that's been bothering them or whatever. Or they just want to tell me what they feel after they watch a video and they're like, a comment is not enough. I have to email this guy. And I'm like, sure, I read the fan mail. I don't always respond, but it's just disturbing the level of corruption in this particular jurisdiction. And it's all over the United States.
Yeah.
It's just that we have a spotlight on this one because of Karen Reed. Thank you, Karen.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the other point, right? This county, this area of the country is kind of notorious for corruption, right? I mean, the Boston Police Department, the cops in Eastern Massachusetts have been under the microscope for the last 4 or 5 decades. So shouldn't surprise anyone. It looks like that's what Adam Deitch was actually investigating, that their office was investigating corruption amongst law enforcement. Now, we'll never know to what degree that was the case or wasn't the case, but that's what it appears like, just kind of reading between the lines. So,
Well, unless and until, indictments start dropping, because, federal
Right.
cases, they don't mess around until they know for a fact they got somebody. And then it's 6 months until a plea or a trial. So,
Right. And that's what I always figured, right? Like I figured they like the black and white. I mean, Sandra Birchmore, say what you want, but you've got the guy coming in the front door of the apartment building, walking into the elevator, going upstairs for like 26 minutes, coming down and walking out like all covered up. I mean, it's like the most cut and dry case of homicide you could ever, want. Karen Reed, not so much, right? Completely different. John O'Keefe, I should say, completely different set of circumstances. So I get it. Like it's not a cut and dry case. And to me, that's most likely why this really wasn't the feds wouldn't be the right people to come along and bring a case like against whoever killed John, I suppose.
Unless they get like a smoking gun. If there's one to be found, then absolutely. Why shouldn't they?
Right. Because right now, and I guess that's
unless
sort of the
Adam
question.
beats them to it. Sorry, unless Adam beats them to it, I guess. But go ahead.
You mean like as gets into office?
If he gets into office and gets the position, yes.
Yeah. I'm working on a video about that right now. It keeps getting put to the back burner because people had very mixed reactions. I don't know if you saw Adam Deitch's interview with Emily C. a couple of weeks back. We did an amazing interview. Definitely check it out.
Okay.
She did a fantastic job. But he's very wordy. Yes, he went on her show.
Nice.
Yes, he went on her show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was so awesome.
I missed it. I'll have to go
It
check
was awesome. We're actually doing on Friday, we're doing a fundraiser for Adam Deitch's campaign on Emily's channel. So, which I'm very excited about.
Sorry, you started to say he was very wordy. What
Yes, yeah. So I think he was very wordy. Like his way of answering questions is a little bit like higher brow. Whereas the way I would describe it, like Greg Connor, he's like a people amongst the people kind of guy. He can kind of shoot the shit with the best of them. You could see him like after work, ties like all, messed up at, having a beer at the bar with the boys, or he can kind of hobnob with whoever, but he's like the status quo guy. Deitch is a little bit more like he kind of just walked out of like the Harvard, I don't know, like some fancy whatever, like club at the Harvard whatever center, right? Like he has a different, I don't know, vibe about him. So he's very wordy. But because I do statement analysis, so one of the things I do is like linguistic analysis, and what I got from what he said through all those words was this guy is one of us. Part of why he's using all these words is because he wants to try to keep some distance. But what he ultimately was saying is exactly what you're saying, which is if I get into office, I am going to get rid of the good old boys club, get rid of all the corruption that's in the DA's office. We're going to bring in the best of the best, and we're going to make this the best police force that you could have. And we're going to investigate cold cases, AKA who killed John O'Keefe, right? I mean, so he was like really clear, but it was kind of cloaked in a lot of words. And I think he was trying to put some distance between him and Emily because he was like, for example, he mentions Judge Bev and he mentioned something. He calls her the judge and he's just talking about something unrelated. He's like, well, the judge in that case, and he gets this like shit-eating smile as he's saying the judge, right? And you can see he's like trying to cover it up, right? But because he knows who he's talking to. He knew who Emily C's audience was, right? So
Right.
it is close to him, though. I mean, in my mind, Adam Deitch is the reason that Karen got, she was acquitted. I mean, it could have very well been his, because he was the guy who ran the federal investigation that produced the 3,100 pages of documents that ultimately Karen got to use in her case. That's where ARCA came from.
I was about to ask.
Right. So that's was his case. He was the leader on that specific case. Right. So to me, I think that's why he tries to distance a little bit, because it is very personal. It's a case
He has to. He has to. I get it.
Yeah. But that is what he wants to do. I mean, to me, he's the best and maybe only way that Norfolk County gets a real investigation into the death of John O'Keefe.
100%. Yeah.
Which is so sad.
What can you do? I mean, what can you do when you have an entire group of people that is owned, and I mean literally owned, by the Albert family? They all owe each other for who knows how many generations back all of these connections go. There's no way that it was just forged in the last couple of decades or anything like that. This is what happens I've noticed it's a lot more prevalent, by the way, in older states.
Mm-hmm.
This is about to get a little philosophical, so brace yourself. Like the original 13 colonies, if you look at the level of the potential for corruption and actual exposed corruption, Serpico with Al Pacino in the 70s, the police force in the 60s and 70s, Massachusetts, we have the Murdaugh family in South Carolina. Just three that come off the top of my head right now. As the more you move west, California is an anomaly. We don't talk about California, but
you're right.
Short of that, just go in the middle somewhere. Go to Idaho. I've been to New Mexico for the Alec Baldwin case, for the Rush shooting. It's a completely different atmosphere. I mean, that judge was like, look, to the prosecutor, who was also named Morrissey, by the way. There's something about that name. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
But Morrissey, as she took the stand, I mean, I was there for all of that. It was magnificent. But
amazing.
That's the point. The judge was just like, you clearly violated exculpatory, the rule, to a Brady rule, to provide exculpatory evidence, the bullets, over to the opposing party. You just freaking admitted to it. So thanks for that, I guess. Ethical bar complaint, on its way. We'll deal with that later. Case dismissed.
It was amazing. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Can you imagine something like that happening if it happened in like Massachusetts?
No, would never happen.
There's no way. It's just, there is something about like the older a state is. I've noticed a direct pattern. This is why in 1776, our founding fathers were fed up with the monarchy. They were fed up with the king. They said, look, we're tired of your tyranny. We're tired of your bullcrap. We want to be separate from all these people who have money. And now the rest of us, we're all peasants. That's not fair. We want true democracy. And they forged, the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, all of that good stuff. And here we are 250 years later, and monarchy has found its way back into our system in the form of corruption, in the form of relationships.
You're right.
The familial relationships, the monetary relationships, the generational connections that have been forged for years.
Yeah.
For decades. So anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox. This is just like a little thing I've been thinking about in the back of my mind. I just don't have anybody else to talk to.
It makes perfect sense.
Talk to Chandler. That's all I do these days. But anyway, seriously, that theory has a little bit of credence, because if you look at it,
does.
Like, all these older colonies, the original 13 colonies and older states, corruption is much more prevalent.
So true.
Than if you go somewhere out west. Again, California being the exception, because California is basically like the new East. They might as well have been the 14th colony.
Right. Yeah, it's its own planet is really what it is. California has its own thing altogether. But no, it's true, because it's like, these relationships, as you're saying, they go back a very long ways. They're rooted in these deep-seated familial, local politics. Your kid went to kindergarten with that guy's, nephew. I mean, it's just all so incestuous in a way. And in this case specifically, you're right. I think you nailed it when you said that, like, the Brian Albert, that he's sort of the sun, moon, and stars that makes this thing go around. To me, he's the guy. It's always kind of starts and stops with him, which fascinating, very interesting. One more question before we let you go, and I think these guys too may have a question for you. Let me just quickly say hi, everybody. Hi, and the chat was super excited to have you join us today. At Fiona Hewson 2140 sends $20. Great to see you both team up. Larry, you made me laugh. Also, always from Australia. I think it's so exciting when people are far away. I don't know why. That just makes me like, oh wow, it's just a global affair, right?
Worldwide, and it's like 8 a.m. in Australia. So
I know, it's crazy. It's just awesome. At Eleni RN 40 since 1999. I'm in heaven watching the both of you. Oh, thank you so much. Two genuine, honest, beautiful, and brilliant people. Gosh, I love you both so much. Rock the show. Thank you so much. Eleni RN 40, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. Love Boston sends $9.99. Sam and Larry, so excited for this collab. Me too. It's so exciting. It really, really is. Denise, Denise is my moderator, and Denise is the best. She's the one. She absolutely, she's the best. She's like, Sam, you gotta get Larry out. I was like, you know what? You are absolutely right. She's the best. We love you so much, Denise. So my last question for you was going to be, this is kind of a completely off-topic question, but this is about the case, though. Sure. So let's just say we're just hypothesizing, or we're speculating wildly. Do you think there's a world where obviously it's an accident? Nobody. I do not believe that anybody. There are people that do. I'm not one of them. I do not believe that anybody in that house or around that house had any intention to hurt Boston police officer John O'Keefe. That night, before that night, or after that night. I don't think there was an intent to murder him, a plot, or anything like that. Whatever, his death was an accident, in my opinion. However, what upsets me is that Karen didn't kill John, because their car didn't hit John. John didn't hit the car. That means that somebody else in the house is responsible for the death. And I guess my question is, why didn't they call 911? I mean, how would you make sense of that? Why doesn't somebody in that house call 911?
Well, Brian, I think, alleged that he was asleep.
Brian Albert?
Brian Albert, if I remember correctly. Brian Albert and Nicole Albert alleged that they basically slept through the whole ordeal, which I remember when that testimony came in trial 1, because neither of them testified in trial number 2. I can't remember if it was me or my audience or both, and somehow we came up with this theory that, well, hold on a second. He testified that Chloe was sleeping in the bedroom.
You did.
And Chloe is a German Shepherd.
She is.
So a German Shepherd hearing commotion outside, dozens of people walking around, she would lose her shit. She would start barking up and down like, there's somebody here. Owners, wake up. We need to protect the territory. Our territory is being invaded. That's what canines do. This is in their blood. They're wolves, descendants of wolves. So they have this instinct that will take over, that you cannot stop unless she was forcefully sedated or something insane, which obviously didn't happen. So to say that he slept through it is bogus. But I remember, if I remember correctly, and you may go back and watch his testimony. I'm talking to you and your audience, and correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty positive that that was his testimony, that he slept through that whole ordeal.
He did say that, yes.
Right? And by the time he woke
did.
up, it was all basically said and done. So like, what do I need to call 911 for? They're already here.
That is correct. Yes, you are right. That is what he said. That was his response. But my thinking is, I meant like immediately, like, because again, assuming that, so the Commonwealth is claiming that Karen hits John at 12:32. That's their argument. We know that's obviously silliness, but it has to do with how John, how whoever was using the phone at that time, the way they were engaging with it changed, like the habit or pattern was different. So that's why the Commonwealth says, oh, this must be the time because he was hit by the car. That's why it's the habit is different. It also could have been somebody else using the phone, moving it around, whatever. But that's what they're saying, right? So assuming that Karen doesn't hit John, somebody else in that house is responsible. What are the reasons why somebody, let's say they have law enforcement, I mean, they know the law.
I see where you're going now. Sorry, I went to the morning.
You went to the morning.
I see what you're saying. Sorry, finish your question.
Well, that's the question though. Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you call 911? I mean, I'm thinking just from an attorney's perspective.
This is very, very simple. I'm sorry. Like, in my mind, I think the answer is crystal clear. Blood, sangre, is thicker than water. If we call 911, we are bringing outsiders in who may not potentially be in this circle. We are all in it together. You are now all part of this whole same, ordeal. Everybody keeps their mouth shut. We figure out what to do together. That's it. We keep it in the house. This is family business now. This is how mafias operate. This is family business. The mafia does not call 911 when they kill somebody, right?
No, they do not.
Or even accidentally gets shot. They just go in the back and bury the body, in the cover of night. So it's very it's very revealing. The fact, like you said, very revealing. The fact that they chose not to let police agents outside the immediate vicinity, because Brian Albert is a police officer at the time.
You're right.
And he probably made the decision. I imagine he was probably the highest ranking officer, if you will, family wise, there, along with Jennifer McCabe, and the two of them were just like, we got to figure this out.
Well,
now,
yeah,
I don't want to try and change your mind about intent and or complicity and all of that, but I do want to point out one little thing. I don't know if you knew, and that may change your mind or it may not. The day Sandra Birchmore, I'm trying to use the YouTube appropriate terminology, unalived herself. There we go.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Quote unquote. I'm pretty sure there was a blizzard.
Okay. Yes,
And
there was.
I think there's I have a theory, and I still hold true to that theory. These people, they don't commit random acts. They have a modus operandi.
Oh, that's interesting. Where was there? I think
Blizzards. If there was, which I think there was.
I think there was.
Please double check me on this. I think blizzards inhibit response time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because the roads are filled with snow. The roads are dirty. And so if you commit a crime like a murder during a blizzard, you can always say, oh, the body was buried. Nobody saw, nobody knew. Or even if somebody does find or see, maybe the snow is going to be so high by the time EMTs get to the scene. Well, oops, he's gone. Oh, well, what can you do? They did their best.
You are right. Yes, people are not around. It kind of inhibits travel. Like
everybody
slows everything down. Yeah.
Nobody really looks outside during a blizzard other than to check the height of the snow.
No, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm so glad that I got a chance to speak with you. This is so much fun. Oh my God.
Likewise.
It really, really is. Thank you so much. And we're gonna have to do it again because I have so much more, so many more questions. And with all of, it's just so much fun because when I get a chance to like pick the brain of an attorney, it's like, oh, this is it is. It's so much fun. I love lawyers now. I really do. You guys are my favorite. So
Oh, stop.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. And we look forward to doing it again soon. And of course, like always, watching your videos.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you very much for having me on. I loved the nature of the conversation. It's great to meet you. I don't think we ever
You
met.
do. No, it's wonderful. Yeah.
So now I think I have your email. You have mine.
Yes.
By all means, whenever you want some insight, if you have some questions, what have you. Obviously, I am a full-time practicing attorney, as your audience may know. So God forbid if anywhere in the country they have any type of injury that is
Really anywhere.
somebody, yeah, anywhere, all 50 states.
Oh.
We cover the entirety of the United States. I'm licensed in Kentucky, but I can prog vice anywhere. I mean, look at the Karen Reed case. Jackson is in a Massachusetts case. You got
You're right.
He's licensed in California. You got what's his name? Tuxbury's number 2. He's licensed in Connecticut. I think Tuxbury is also a Connecticut lawyer.
Yeah. I saw that today.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. You can, and a lot of cases get resolved without a lawsuit. So,
Oh, right. Yeah.
944-774-HURT.
I love it. Everybody
Just
writing
Google
that down.
Attorney Larry Foreman.
No, we know how to find you. Are you kidding? We know how to find you. All right. Be well, you. It's nice to have you on.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks for having
you. That was so fun. How much do we love Larry? He was great. Oh my God. So great. So great. Yay. Let me read some of your guys's. Gets your take on everything. At Love Boston is a member for 4 months. IDBH is my favorite channel on YouTube. At Love Boston, thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. Happy anniversary. At Saucy Meat Sauce, since $20. Larry, can you talk about the Allie M's epic slip? Well, you just heard him. He did. I don't know if you heard him mention it. Yeah. Can this be used for any future investigation or in AC and AC's and KR and AC civil suit impeachment is why she wasn't called in trial too. So one thing I wanted to ask him at Saucy Meat Sauce, and thank you so much for your question. Maybe what I can do too is transcribe these questions and then have him answer for us, because I was thinking about, and I forgot. Now, the witness testimony from these other cases, I think I've heard that they cannot be like brought into the civil case. You guys correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think that's my understanding, that they are like separate. I hope that that's not true, but I think it is. I think for some reason, like when you're called in a criminal case to testify, for whatever reason, that is protected speech, and therefore you can't like bring that up in another trial or another situation. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that. So I think my answer, that the reason why I'm asking that, Saucy Meat Sauce, is because the answer would be no, right? You couldn't use that then if that is the case. You could use it like as a way to drive questions, like to know what to ask in a deposition. But I don't think in the middle of the civil case, you could like bust out testimony from the Karen Reed trial. I want to say I'm like 60% sure on that. So we're going to have to get somebody else who knows more about it. At ProGamer V15 is a member for 8 months. They got Al Capone for tax violations. That's true, but that kind of shows, right? I mean, what does that show us, ProGamer? That kind of shows us that, like, the state can go after anybody if they're so motivated, right? At Violet Desert Sky, gifts 5. I don't belong in memberships. Oh my God. Thank you so much at Violet Desert Sky. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I get so excited when we get gifted memberships. At Link 2019 sends $10. Thank you so much, Link 2019. I love this beautiful Rottweiler. I think that's what that is. This beautiful Rottweiler's head. At Abacus Flinch 05. Hi, Abacus Flinch sends $10. Larry, I'm confused by the House defendant's legal strategy. Why dodge depots when they file the defamation suit using the same lawyer? I feel like they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position. So I was asking essentially the same question, Abacus Flinch. That was sort of my question too. Right? Like, look at what they just did. Look at what Colin just did, right? I mean, you drop a legal suit, you file a civil suit against somebody, and then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, sorry, I'm going to be gone. See you later. You won't even be able to reach me, but for like a few minutes on a Saturday every week. I mean, doesn't even make sense. But the lawyer today, in defense of that, and we're going to take a look at this whole thing in just a minute, but the lawyer in defense of that was saying, well, this isn't that case, right? This isn't that case, Judge. Now, the judge didn't really buy it. The judge was like, hello, your client just brought a lawsuit. He doesn't realize he has to be made available to his lawyers. Like, get out of here with that BS. But what does it tell you, Abacus? I mean, I think, look, the reason why Colin's attorney went back and forth with Aaron Rosenberg and had him have to, correct whatever it was, correct the record, and then put in writing that, he had to reframe that Colin wasn't refusing to sit for a deposition, but he was essentially, just not going to be available, right? So that's really what it came down to. Colin's lawyer wanted Rosenberg to change his wording because all of us immediately saw it as Colin trying to get out of sitting for a deposition, which, by the way, is exactly what happened, right? It's exactly what happened. So I think, to your point, it is exactly what it looks like it is. So what does that mean? It means that the people in the House would rather take the hits, despite how it looks, than have their son, than have their nephew sit for a deposition with Karen Reed's legal team. That's what it means. Despite the fact that it makes Colin look really guilty of something. And the other thing that the lawyer said today, to your point, Abacus Flinch, the other thing the lawyer said was like, well, we didn't know either. We found out on May 20th that he was going into the Army and he wasn't going to be available after June 2nd. And we told you guys on May 21st. That's just what the client did. That was kind of the other response. At KY Granny X13 is a member for 2 months. Larry, can Proctor be brought up on charges? That's a great question. Can Proctor be brought up on charges? I was thinking about that, KY Granny, and here's the thing. I mean, not by the Norfolk County DA's office. Who's going to bring him up on charges? That's the problem. The problem is, certainly as long as Michael Morrissey is sitting in office, no, absolutely not. So who's going to bring the charges? I mean, it's the same thing with all the people in the House. Like, there's nobody investigating. Nobody's investigated ever the death of John O'Keefe except for Michael Proctor, and you see how that went, right? At Got a Bad Feeling since 1999. Hello, beautiful Samantha and Larry, too. Thank you both for all you do. Appreciate your knowledge and expertise. We always learn so much with Samantha. Well, thank you so much, Got a Bad Feeling. You're so kind. You guys are too kind. At Lazy LCH sends $20. I'm so behind, but I want Sam to tell Loophole that Life 360 has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. I did tell him. That's so funny. I used to track my daughter, and it's extremely accurate unless her battery is low, but even then it is really good. You are so funny at Lazy LCH because I did that already today. So he, just so you know, Vince reached out to me earlier today asking me about the Life 360. And I said that exact thing. I said that it has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. I think that's what I said. I'm pretty sure I said that. I said that to somebody today. Pretty sure I said that. If I didn't, I will. I have to double check now. Now I'm sort of second guessing myself. I might have just said that to my fiance. It might not have been to Vince. But he did text me first thing today about it, and I will double check it. But it has nothing. You are a hatch. But wait, 100% it has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. Let me just be clear to echo the point at Lazy LCH. Look at the Mackenzie Shirilla case. So Life 360 is how all the friends of Davion Flanagan tracked their whereabouts. They knew what speed he was traveling. They knew before the police that something wasn't right because of Davion's Life 360. It is designed to work with cell data, with cell towers. That's the whole point. The whole point is to be able to track your children when they are not connected to Wi-Fi. So the idea that Wi-Fi is the reason that it was inaccurate is total bunk. It's complete nonsense. You are 100% correct. That was something that Allie McCabe saw. We're going to take a look at Allie McCabe in case I haven't mentioned it yet. We're going to look at Allie tonight. But what happened there was Allie McCabe saw an opportunity because she saw on the little photo that it said, you may want to connect to Wi-Fi or whatever. And she grabbed it and went, oh, maybe this is why, and used it. Good for her. So no, you have to remember with Vince, when it comes to this case, he's extremely biased. I don't know why he cares so much about this. I think it might just be like a be right thing. Like now that he's made a decision that these people are telling the truth about Colin, he has to stand by it, but I'm not sure. I don't know why, but welcome at Jessica B6460. We're super excited to have you. At Chandra C 4911 since 1999. Sometimes a police officer could be the only line of defense. Yeah. When their own disgusting prejudice causes them to devalue another human, that is a scary world indeed. Proctor and those like him are the worst of the worst. IMO. I've mentioned this before. I used to work with the NYPD. Now, just to be clear, the New York City police force is enormous. There are 5 boroughs in Manhattan, 7 to 9 million people. So it's like 50,000 cops. I mean, it's an enormous force. But when they get in trouble because they had a little too much to drink and maybe got into a fight with their partner or got into a car accident, they would get sent to me. This was a while ago now, and I would be their group counselor or their individual counselor, and they were my favorite. I absolutely loved working with them. They were the greatest people, just the greatest. I mean, at all levels. Like I worked with cops at the highest level of investigative, whatever it is at the highest level that they could be at in terms of rank, and just beat cops. And they were my favorite clients. And, look, a lot of them had just as much struggle with authority as we do, right? I mean, in many ways, they're not so dissimilar. I think if I had an opportunity to speak to any of those guys now, they would probably look at somebody like Proctor and be absolutely as disgusted as it gets. But, in New York City, you also think about it. You inevitably, you're working around people of every race and ethnicity and gender, and there's just more of everybody. So you kind of have to, right? Look at who works in their office. It looks like it could be like the meeting of the Aryan Brotherhood of Eastern Massachusetts. Like, right? You know what I'm saying? Like with Michael Morrissey, who just is every worst thing you can think of, right? Like he's as clueless as he is dangerous, because it is a good old boys club. It is a like wink, wink, hey, Ha ha, let's go fishing and drink beer on the weekend. I'll do a solid for you. You do a solid for me. Like that guy spent half of every day looking through the obituaries to try to get the families of those people to vote for him next time, to send them sympathy cards. That's like what he did half of his day, every day, which we know because of his emails. I don't know. They're just terrible people. It's just this group of people. They're just bad people. Like it was just rotten in that office. And it makes me physically sick to think that Greg Connor could be the one taking it over. I mean, that is devastating for me to think about. Just, feel very powerless because I don't have a vote, It's just really, really frustrating. At Blessed Ma. Oh, wait, no. Mama. Mama, I figured it out, Blessed Mama. I was like practicing. I was practicing saying it the other night. We had a funny email exchange about this. Larry is the best reader of documents. He's great. Larry is great. He's super entertaining. He makes the documents fun and fast. They're all great, right? Like all of our law tubers, we're very blessed to have some really amazing law tubers. And Asheron Fish sends $4.99. I think they were drunk, saw a lot of blood. John convulsed and vomited, and they all panicked. Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing, Asheron, when I asked that question earlier. I was thinking about the blood, how much blood there probably was. And that's scary. But I like what Larry said. I hadn't thought of it that way, like almost like the way a mob leader kind of stops everything and says, all right, I'm in charge now. We're going to do what daddy says. And I do think that is what happened. I do think that Brian Albert inevitably became daddy in that moment and ultimately is still driving that ship now. If you haven't had a chance, God, I put out a video recently. What the hell? Maybe did I put it out? I don't know, you guys. I am literally working. I don't normally do this. I've got like 4 videos right now that I'm all working on at the same time. So I'm like lost as to what I did release and didn't release. But if you go back and watch the ABC Matt Gutman interview with the House defendants right after the acquittal, that next day, watch how nobody says anything. They don't even utter like a word until or unless they look at Brian Albert before they do. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like, they're like, Jen, watch Jennifer. It's actually really funny. If you want to laugh, it's amusing because she's like, she literally looks and she has to turn to see him because he's right next to her. So she's like always waiting for daddy to tell her what to feel, what to think, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. It's insane. It's insane. And it's like that with everything, right? I mean, he's behind all of this, guys. He's behind whatever this gala is this week. He's behind the Testify campaign, whatever fundraising efforts, these stupid forensic girls. I mean, the whole thing. It's all being sanctioned and coordinated and supported by daddy, right? And always was. Just disgusting. Really disgusting. At Melly Girl is a member for 1 month. Happy 1 month anniversary, Melly Girl. My 2 favorite people to watch. Love you both. Larry, you are hilarious, but I don't think you know it. Sam, you are beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Melly Girl. Both of you are so knowledgeable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. You are amazing. Hello at Canton Chronicle. He sends $5. Sam is so smart and looks so natural in front of the camera. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Canton Chronicle. You're amazing. You're not so bad in front of a camera yourself there, dear. At CMD Pisces, hi CMD Pisces, is a member for 2 months. We Californians have a lot of corruption with just new scum going on right now. I love it. I love it. Yes. Well, it's a big state too, right? I mean, the odds go up the bigger that you are. And when you're that big and you have like, you have like warring factions in a state of that size, like you have like different quarters of the people and what they want and what their interests are, like, the bigger you get, right? The crazier things can get. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, look, is there corruption everywhere? Probably. But this is just its own ugly. I mean, like, Michael Proctor is so repulsive. Just so repulsive, right? I mean, how repulsive is this guy? And that's the culture. Like, that's the thing. God, these people. Just pick one. Who do you want to talk about? Adam Lally? What a scumbag Adam Lally is. That guy, we talk about charges. It really makes me angry because if you've studied those testimonies the way that I have, you know just how full of shit Adam Lally is and just how much he knows they're lying. He knows they're all lying. He absolutely knows that. He knows it better than anyone else, maybe on earth, because he has to change the questions in order to fit the person he's asking the questions to. And he knows, you can tell by the way he asks the questions that he's like trying to dance around or lead them to get the answer that he wants. It's just talk about scumbags. Ugh. Thank God that Michael Proctor didn't have any more power than he did. I mean, that's the other thing. Thank God he was just like a basic trooper. Could you imagine? Based on Yuri's performance reviews, he was on his way, though, right? He was on his way to making sergeant probably as soon as he applied for it. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. At Savvy Aries 63 is a member for 1 month. IMO, they didn't call 911 because they knew they couldn't get away with it. No, sorry. IMO, they didn't call 911 because they knew they could get away with it because of their connections. But so, to me, the thing about that, Savvy Aries, is like, yeah, but they also would have got away with it even if they had called 911 because of their connections. Like, that's the thing that always kills me about these people. It's like, you guys have so many connections. You would have gotten away with it even if you had called. It's so frustrating. But, they obviously were drunk and fucked up. Sister, hello, my sissy bear, who I will be seeing in a few days. Let's be real. Colin was so bad on the stand. Oh, no, 100%. Imagine him deposed. He's scared as F. Larry was awesome. All the love, sis and crew. No, that's a fair point. I mean, look, do we really think? I saw, by the way, it's very tempting for me not to engage with these people on X. Like, I try to just not engage because I don't want to start wars. And it's just, but like some of the stuff that these people say, it's just like the level of stupidity is, well, Colin was available for all these years. And so he was subpoenaed in February. And all of a sudden, he was subpoenaed in February. And all of a sudden, now that he knows that like the clock is ticking and now he's going to have to actually sit down with Karen's attorneys and answer questions, now is the time that he decides to literally right now enlist in the military. So what if he was available for the last 3 years? It doesn't mean anything. He was the one that decided to put his name on a lawsuit, and then he decides to abscond. Come on. It's just, you can paint it however you guys want, but there's no way around how it looks, okay? There's no way around how it looks. These people do not want Colin Albert to be deposed by Karen's attorneys. Without a doubt, absolutely not. Imagine, just think about it. Let's just pick 3 of us, randomly, any 3 of us in a room. And we get together and we come up with the questions that we want to bring in front of Colin for a deposition. First of all, it makes me excited just to think about. Second of all, could you imagine what the 3 of us would come up with? What's he going to say? No comment. I plead the 5th. I don't remember. I don't recall. No comment. I plead the 5th. Right? I mean, they're going to have to come up with something because it's going to happen. And it was Larry who also made the point, Denise reminded me of this today, that maybe the military is a good place for him to be, because the truth is, right, like if the military is involved, then yeah, maybe they can like, oh, you need to be subpoenaed by the court. Okay, well, you're going tomorrow, right? Like they can force people to do things because essentially you're kind of owned by them, right? Which you are owned by them. Very much so, actually. Okay, let me bring this up because this is what I want to shift to for a bit here tonight. Along the same lines, let's take a look at this. Data downloaded from the Life 360 application on Jen McCabe's phone shows time-stamped notifications of Allie McCabe's arrivals and departures from addresses throughout the early morning hours of January 29th. Not only does the Life 360 data prove that Allie McCabe did not travel straight home after dropping off Colin, as she told Buchanan in August 25th of 2023. More importantly, the data shows no evidence of an arrival or a departure from 34 Fairview or Colin's house at any time on January 29th. What a big surprise. Allie also could not tell MSP investigators how she knew Colin was at the house on January 29th, and no communication from Colin relaying his location to Allie is included in the screenshots of their texts. For these reasons and more, Colin has relevant information about what happened the night of January 29th, his communications with the House defendants and others concerning Mr. O'Keefe's death, and Proctor's investigation. Indeed, his role was so important to the Commonwealth that it called him as a witness in Ms. Reed's first criminal trial. That's awesome. So let's watch. I'm sure many of you have seen this already, but it's short. Let's watch today's courtroom antics. This was, for those that missed this was a hearing to hear argument on whether or not to compel Colin Albert to testify, or not testify, to be deposed, to sit for his deposition. So most of you are aware there's been this argument back and forth. Colin already sat for his deposition before he absconded into the military to basic training. And but not by Karen's lawyers. He was deposed by all the Commonwealth-friendly, O'Keefe-friendly attorneys, Diller and his own team and the Waterfall people. Everybody but Karen's team was not there for the deposition that Colin gave, which I'm sure was absolutely useless. But I can't wait to hear what time he says he left 34 Fairview this time. Should be fun. So this was the judge hearing arguments about what to do with Colin. What's going to happen? Because Colin's not available now until the fall, according to his attorney. We'll come back to this.
He was served a deposition subpoena for April 29th.
Okay, so this is how it starts today. It just jumps right in. It's very immediate. It's coming.
He was served a deposition subpoena for April 29th.
And you talked about taking it off. Didn't go for it. When's he going to be available?
At this point in time, Your Honor, I'm not sure. It'll be sometime in the fall. He's got 10 weeks training.
Not going to happen.
So did we hear it? The judge says not gonna happen. So this is Colin Albert's attorney who just came in. So let me just place everybody. This particular courtroom meeting is for the O'Keefe versus Karen Reed civil case. Karen's team is asking that Colin come back from wherever he is to be deposed by their team, because he's already sat before he absconded to basic training. He already sat with the O'Keefe team. So this is Colin's attorney visiting this group, this civil courtroom, to explain where is Colin and why isn't he showing up for his deposition? And this is the response that they got. Colin's not going to be available until the fall now. And the judge says, not going to happen.
He's in basic training right now. We have 1 hour a week communications with him.
I don't dispute what you're telling me, but I'm not going to simply rely upon a statement in court that a witness can't be produced until the fall. So go find out when he can be produced before that.
So I tried to turn it up as loud as I possibly could so you could hear it. So he says, I'm not going to rely on a statement that says a witness is not going to be available until the fall. Go find out when he can be produced before that. That's what he said.
Okay. I will, Your Honor, try. We won't be able to talk to him until Saturday. I'll talk to him Saturday briefly and see what we can figure out.
But it's not a matter of figuring it out. It's a matter of you saying to him, there's a duly issued subpoena. As I said in one of my pleadings, in this case, which you weren't involved in, a subpoena needs to mean something. Just as an attorney agreeing to continue needs to mean something. And it shouldn't end up in front of me in these circumstances.
I appreciate that, Your Honor. We're in a situation where we learned on the 20th and we let them know the same day. I know they say there's games here. We informed them the same day that we found out this information that he had been accepted into the military and had a shipment date of June 2nd. We said, please take his deposition during this period of time. I know you want to take it. And at that point in time,
let's not put aside the fact that you represent him in another case.
Certainly.
Right? That was called, that was filed not that long ago.
All right. So, and this is, I'm so glad the judge said this, you guys, because this was really pissing me off also. So the judge is saying, let's not pretend like you don't represent this kid in another case that he brought 2 weeks ago. So what do you mean he's not available? He didn't know when he brought a civil case against Karen Reed that he was going to need to be made available for different court-related procedure? What are you talking about? That's what the judge is saying here.
Yes.
So certainly, maybe a party that's going to prosecute an action such as they have alleged should stay in touch with their attorneys and let them know what's going on.
Certainly. And we know what he's going through his first 3 weeks school. And then when this ends, he'll go to 10 weeks basic training. We're not sure where that will be. The Army will assign him that location of where his 10 weeks of basic training will be. He'll be on, like I was saying, Your Honor, he'll be on leave in the fall. So in terms of I appreciate it.
Let me just make it clear. We're not waiting till the fall.
Okay.
All right? Discovery ends in this case on August 17th.
Okay.
Let me just make this clear. We are not waiting until the fall. Discovery ends on, what was it, August 17th or 19th? So you got to produce him before that, right? So this is Colin's lawyer, and Colin's lawyer is saying, well, he's going to do 3 weeks. Well, we know where he is, Judge. He's going to do 3 weeks somewhere, and then they're going to send him away for 10 weeks, but he'll be back in the fall. Judge is like, not having it. No way.
You're going to go find out when he can get back up here and be deposed.
Okay.
Now let's talk.
You're going to go find out when he can come and be deposed.
Talk about the status of any discussions between the attorneys as to the scope of the production. I agree with Attorney Tuxbury that the scope of the subpoena is excessively broad.
Colin Albert has said through his attorney, he doesn't have anything that he looked, and the only thing that he has is the screenshot of the message between he and Allie McCabe. That's the only thing that he has.
Right. So one of the reasons that apparently the deposition was held up originally was because Karen's team asked him to produce cell phone information. And of course he didn't. And he's saying, sorry, that's all deleted. All I have are these screenshots between me and Allie. But the other thing that the lawyers were going back and forth, that his attorneys were arguing, was that it was overbroad, that they were asking for too much, that Karen's team was asking for too much. And they keep accommodating. They keep asking for less to try to work it out, right?
I I know there have been discussions, but I don't know where you're at now. Have you had any recent discussions?
No, the discussions are what are laid out. And if Your Honor is inclined to ask us to, we can continue to work on the document side and report back to you in a few days.
Great.
Yes, I mean, we made our proposal, Your Honor, with respect to, issues about what this case is about, which is the death of Officer O'Keefe on the night of January 29th, 2022. He searched for all communications with law enforcement for the entire period of time, look for other ones. We never heard back. We got this motion in response to that. I mean, we're happy to look at other stuff here, but I think to your point, the asking for private conversations, communications, really from our perspective is a non-starter without being tied to this case.
To you, Attorney Rosenberg.
I'm sorry. What was that? You see how this guy is trying to be cryptic? And what he's trying to say is, well, Colin has nothing to do with anything. So, from our view, Judge, Colin shouldn't have to produce anything because he has no involvement. But I love how these people always miss the point, right? What is the most obvious point? What is the rebuttal to that? These piece of garbage human beings, the Mick Alberts and all of their little clowns, all of their little minion clowns, they want to make the argument that, oh, it's so silly that we're just so silly and how dare we keep accusing poor little sweet boy Colin, right? The problem is that they keep doing this at every turn. They obfuscate, they put up roadblocks, they abscond to the military. So you guys want him to be this innocent snowflake. If this were me and my kid had nothing to do with this situation and was not there when John O'Keefe walked into that house, wouldn't you think about this logically? Wouldn't you give everything? You'd give I'd have cell phone documents, Snapchat, pages and pages and pages of shit. Because who cares? No matter what Colin is doing, if he's not there and there's no evidence that he was ever there, then produce it. Stop playing games. But do you know why they don't do that? Geez, I'll give you a guess.
Collectively, let's keep in mind, okay?
Oh, it's so aggravating.
I know there's the other case, but you're talking about a non-party.
Understood, Your Honor. And I don't know if you would want to, but I'm happy to get some thoughts from you about because what Mr. Tuxbury is referring to is the extremely narrow two categories that they said, we'll search for these and we don't have any documents. We search and we don't have any documents other than the text chain that's already public record. So I think that is certainly too narrow. But I also take your point to me that as it stands, the subpoena is too broad. There is obviously, as you are aware, Your Honor, there's more than wrongful death alleged here. The false narrative is part of the claims the plaintiffs have brought in this case, and that obviously relates to much longer than January 28th and 29th, 2022. So to the extent, there's burden.
I don't know that it extends 4 years.
And I'm not trying to argue it because I don't understand that you want to decide that as a fact right now. All I'm saying is it's broader, and this is kind of my point. I think it's broader than what Mr. Tuxbury and his team interpret it. You're telling us that you think it's narrower than what we interpret it, and that's taken, which is why I suggested we have a conversation about maybe meeting somewhere in the middle, and I'm fine doing that.
So, right. Essentially, Karen's team, I think, originally was asking for 4 years of communications, but then they narrowed it to 4 months. And either way, the clown that is now representing all of these people, I'm actually really glad to see this because this attorney, I don't know what to tell you. I think that he's embarrassing himself. And this is the same guy who's going to be bringing the defamation lawsuit. So I guess we need to get comfortable looking at his face, but I'm not super worried based on what we're seeing here. I'll just say that.
You have the conversation.
Tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah, I'm open to a call anytime. Just call me. I'm available tomorrow afternoon. We have a meeting for something else tomorrow afternoon.
It's not me that has to call you.
I understand. It's anyone. Damon can call me. I never know who has to call me because it's
The judge there says it's not me that has to call you.
there's allocation of attorneys, so you have to know who you're talking to. But yeah, I can have a conversation about that. But obviously, this is a wrongful death case with again, there's an intentional infliction claim based on a false narrative. In many respects, that false narrative claim is the other side of the coin of the wrongful death, right? If she has said things that someone else did it, and they show she actually did it, a priori, false narrative. It's not the defamation case. This is not the harassment case, the criminal harassment case that's proceeding with respect to Mr. Kearney in Norfolk County. And so we're happy to consult with them and look for more stuff. I think there's a disconnect because there's a different view of what happened here. And so
reality.
I think they're frustrated when we say we don't have any documents because he simply doesn't have any.
Was he about to say there's a different view of reality? And then he stopped himself? Hold on.
I think they're frustrated when we say we don't have any documents because he simply doesn't have any. We're willing to consider searching for more and expand the time scope of that search, but in likelihood the answer is going to be the same.
I understand you stand before me representing a non-party.
Yes.
But we're all aware of the other case in which certain allegations have been made. So you're going to have to do some of those searches sooner or later.
Right. So the judge there is saying exactly what I was saying earlier, that, hello, your client is the person bringing the claims. What did you think? He just was never going to have to bring the cell phone information in? And that's my point. But you know what? You know what's clear to me for sure is that's exactly what this asshole is going to try to do. He's got Chris Albert standing right behind him like this, sitting like this, right behind this Collins attorney. Like, well, we shouldn't have to show any documents because my son is innocent. Right, Chris, because we should just take you at your word, right? Just like you and everybody else from your family and friend group who are so honest and testified so honestly during the first 2 Karen Reed trials. We should absolutely just take you and your perjuring son at your word. It's just disgusting. These people are disgraced.
Of course, Your Honor. I think what I'm just trying to do, I think, following the guidance of this court, this case is the wrongful death case. We're going to do discovery, and we're doing discovery in the defamation case, and we're going to get document requests, I'm sure, that will be broader than that. That's a different case here. And so the issue I have, Your Honor, as a third party here in this matter, is resource issues, right? It's quite expensive here. We're going to have to do this in the defamation case.
Can you believe that this guy just said the issue that we have here is resources? Like the audacity that this piece of shit lawyer would say that with Karen Reed in the room and his people bringing charges against her. It's just too much. It's too much that this piece of shit, his people made the decision to bring a lawsuit. They're the ones suing. The O'Keefe family, they're the ones suing. But we need to be concerned about his resources.
That's going to be different and separate apart from this one. So all I'm trying to do, Your Honor, is kind of ensure that
Karen.
not needlessly harassing a third party here in this action. I appreciate what you're saying, Your Honor. We're going to produce those documents in response to the RFPs when we get them, right? Obviously we are. We've already gotten this.
Oh, obviously we are. We're going to produce those documents that we don't have to produce, right? Do you hear what he's saying here? All of a sudden now he's going to produce documents, but didn't he just tell us 2 minutes earlier that there are no documents to produce? I don't know what to tell you, Judge. We live in a different reality, and there just aren't any documents in that reality. Now, all of a sudden, there are documents, but they're expensive. So, yeah, obviously, we're going to have to produce them eventually. We just don't want to spend money to do it here now. It's these people. It's just like more and more clown showness. And all this does, by the way, this whole show right here, all this does, we have our running list of what makes Colin Albert most obviously guilty of the death of John O'Keefe. Oh, here we go. Here's another notch on that belt. This whole song and dance, the absurdity of all of this, because you know what? Chris Albert, this isn't the way innocent people behave. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This isn't the way innocent people behave. Innocent people who have nothing to hide don't abscond, don't, take off to the military 2 weeks after filing a lawsuit, don't, show up at a legal hearing and have their lawyer say something like, oh, the only message I have is that one screenshot that I already gave you guys 4 years ago. That's the only message that I have left on my phone ever. That's it. Everything else is gone. It's just insulting is what these people, that they're insulting. It's so aggravating.
One set of RFPs.
Like, don't you just want to clear your name? Like, don't you want to, like, you know what I mean? If you have nothing to hide, show all your cards. Let's get it all out in the open. This way, this never has to be a discussion ever again. But you know why they're not doing that? I'll give you a guess. Oh, because they can't. Because they do have something to hide.
From misreading that case too. So I do appreciate it. I'm standing here as a third party, subject to the protections of Rule 45 in this matter. And my client in this instance is also a party to a defamation case originally filed in Barstow County, now appearing before Your Honor. But I think in terms of like the scope of discovery and forcing him to kind of like do duplicative discovery, that's
oh my God. Do we just see what just happened with this guy? So now the judge says, well, look, you're going to have to do that discovery anyway. You're going to have to get those documents anyway. Might as well do it. He's like, well, but Your Honor, we're going to have to do it twice. So, we shouldn't have to do it now because we're going to have to do it then too. What? This is Colin Albert's lawyer. This is the brilliant lawyer that is representing all 4 of the clowns in the house at 34 Fairview that killed John O'Keefe. This is the group. This is the guy. This is the guy. We should all be very worried.
a little excessively burdensome. And so I think it's appropriate to keep our focus on
Excessively
what they want for this
burdensome.
case. Yeah, like I mentioned before.
I'm sorry. It's excessively burdensome because what? Is he trying to suggest that it costs money to produce documents? Is that what the argument is? I just don't understand. I'm confused. Somebody help me understand what the cost is. Isn't it as simple as like, can you just call your cell phone provider and be like, hey, can you email me my cell phone information from this chunk of time? Can we just, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
It's not before Your Honor. We had thought that consolidation for discovery purposes might make sense to avoid this kind of situation, and it was rejected. That's fine. I'm not asking you to address it. But
I don't think the hospitality defendants would really want to go on.
I will tell you, Your Honor, they actually said okay. I'm not to speak for them, but they said okay to it. But that's these issues that I'm dealing with, Your Honor. I appreciate what you're saying with respect to the defamation case and discovery in that matter too. But that's why here, I think the appropriate scope for this case is, as you've laid out before, which is what happened to Officer O'Keefe on that night. And on that point, as we put out in our briefing, Colin Albert simply doesn't have a lot to say.
Colin Albert simply doesn't have a lot to say. Now, remember, he sat for the deposition with, the softball attorneys and did, I'm sure, exactly what he did when Adam Lally was asking him questions. He said nothing because he doesn't remember anything. And, this is his lawyer. God help him. Could you imagine having to be Colin's lawyer?
He's just going to start arguing himself.
You wonder if this guy is already rethinking this decision. Like, maybe I shouldn't have taken this case.
We'll consider Bert. No.
What depositions are scheduled for Monday? I should know because I asked you for the calendar, so I don't remember.
Did?
Does Chris look like he's lost some weight? You guys notice that? Chris looks small to me when I saw him. So this is, just in case you missed it, this is Jen, who actually looks a little bigger to me, oddly. And then next to Jen is Chris in this bright blue shirt. And then there's Boozy Beauty in the back there too, just right behind them over onto the left in the courtroom, visiting, taking notes.
Monday is Nicole Albert, but that's going to be that's a subject of a separate motion to compel that's pending via 9A. That's going to be filed hopefully early next week.
Great. So, hate to ruin your weekend, but you and your team can review what you got today, and the two of you can talk. We can all.
So I didn't understand that.
That's going to be that's a subject of a separate motion to compel that's pending via 9A. That's going to be filed hopefully early next week.
So apparently Nicole Albert is supposed to be being deposed on Monday, but obviously isn't going to be because they just mentioned a motion to compel for next week. So obviously Monday comes before next week. So there's probably not going to be that deposition from the way he just framed that.
Great. So, hate to ruin your weekend, but you and your team can review what you got today, and the two of you can talk. We can all come back Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Talk about this again. Does that work for?
When you said your team, were you talking to Mr. Buck? Okay. Let me just make sure.
Zoom or in person, Your Honor?
In person.
Perfect.
I'm not sure.
Yes, that works.
I will not be available, Your Honor.
So wait a minute. I'm not sure. I guess this is the O'Keefe attorney. I'm not sure who this guy is, but he's the one in the room, I would think. I mean, the only other person in the room is Colin's attorney. So, right? For the plaintiff side, there's this guy with the glasses who I don't even recognize.
I think I mentioned this at our Rule 16 conference. I'll be gone for a while.
Maybe you have someone that could report on the results of your discussions.
Certainly, I can do that, Your Honor. And that's part of the issue with respect to resources. Obviously, I have my colleague Kieran Murphy, who's here with me, pro-hoc into the defamation case. It costs money to do that. It's not cheap, so I can try to find someone in my office to respond. Or he can respond without appearing before Your Honor.
It's not cheap. Like all of us feel really bad about the McAlberts having to spend money on lawyers. It's just like the audacity of these people. Like, are they fucking serious? Seriously though, like this is their lawyer, guys. This is the guy that's bringing the defamation case against Karen and Aidan. It's just almost too shocking to be
figure
true.
out.
We have no objection to making that easier, however we can.
It almost seems a little unfair.
To the extent there's a way that Mr. Murphy can appear, we're fine with it. But
We'll let him appear.
Let him appear, he said.
Yes, I mean, I'd asked today. I understand that he's not pro-hoc into this case. That's all.
We have no
Don't tell anyone, okay?
Don't tell anyone, he said.
We'll keep it a
Enjoy your
secret.
vacation. After you talk Attorney Rosenberg.
Yes.
Anything else? You have other motions that are coming?
Yeah, we do. We have a motion to compel that's coming again next week. I think the opposition is due early next week. We filed
That's
with
for
you
Nicole.
shortly. There's one pending motion from the plaintiffs, I believe, seeking additional information in response to interrogatories. That's it, I think.
At the moment, I believe that's accurate.
Okay, I think that's
See if
it.
you
That's
can
really all that
agree
came up.
yourselves as to
We're going to take a look at Allie McCabe in just a little bit, but I want to hear from you guys first. What do you think of this judge? I mean, this is the judge for all of the cases, which doesn't help making this any less confusing. You have to have to play mental gymnastics to figure out where are we, who's in the room, why are they there, what is this conversation about? It takes like extra work because it's always the same judge. But I would love to hear what you guys think of this judge. What do you think? Do you think that, do you like him? Do you not like him? I don't really, I mean, today I liked him. I don't know what to make of him though. I really don't. I don't know what to make of him. At Planet 2 Ables, at Planet Tables, at Planet 2 Ables, since 19 pounds. What a great live. First 1 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God, UK in the house. Why does the judges keep having a go at Karen Reed's attorneys? And yeah, you're doing a fantastic show. I really get a lot of information from you. Yeah, you're the best. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Big shout out to you. on the other side of the universe from us. Well, not quite the other side, but quite a distance. Probably approaching 2, 3 in the morning now. Big shout out to you though. Yeah. I don't know what to make of the judge. I mean, I guess you and I are in the same wavelength because that's my question too. I don't know what to make of this judge. I don't know what to make of him. At Fiona Houston 2140 sends 5, I think, Australian dollars. I think they were up to something else illegal, and that's why they didn't want anyone looking in their home ECT. I mean, certainly that's not impossible, right? But here's the thing, like, even if Colin has a bunch of like nude pictures or he's secretly dealing weed, whatever, this is just an example, by the way. Even if that is the case, like, nobody's looking at that stuff. We're not here to crucify him for that. Nobody gives a crap about what else Colin Albert is doing. The only thing that Karen Reed is interested in for this case is what happened the night of January 29th. What happened that early morning, right? So who cares what other things he was doing? If he wasn't at the house, which is what they try to pretend is true, which is all obviously not true, but what they pretend is true, then he wasn't at the house, right? Ay, ay, ay. At Virtual Jurors, a member for 7 months. Happy 7-month anniversary. Thanks for all of your hard work. Thank you so much for your support at Virtual Juror. Mark, hello, Mark Langle 9990 sends $9.99. Hello, Sam. Great show tonight. If you ever get a break and want some side work, let me know. I need a lot of help. Laugh out loud. Not really, but I'm sure the doctor will make a suggestion soon. Mild stroke stable. What does that mean, Mark? You got to give us more information, but our heart is with you. Our prayers are with you, and we hope that you are better than ever very, very, very soon. I don't have any time to do anything, but if there's something that you want me to take a look at, of course, I will do my very best to try. Always, especially for you, Mark, especially for you. At CC007 sends $4.99. Please, Sam, what would their liability? I know, CC. I know you're right. Everybody always says this to me, and maybe I'm just. I've mentioned this before. I have such an aversion to the idea of prison. Although I'll tell you what, Mackenzie Shrilla makes it sound like it's like a freaking walk in the park. So maybe I shouldn't be so afraid of prison. But I have always had such an aversion to the idea of spending time in prison that I can't allow myself to even consider being in that kind of situation and not calling 911. So there's no world where in my brain calling 911 is not like just the knee-jerk thing I'm going to do, no matter what the consequences are. And I guess you could make the argument that it would be the other way around. But listen, look at the day and age that we're in. Like, nobody gets away with murder anymore. It like never, ever happens. So I would know that, and I'd be thinking, well, involuntary manslaughter, I'll plead this down to do a lot of probation. I don't know, but whatever, it's not going to land me the rest of my life in prison. And that's what I'm going to be thinking about is if we don't call this in and it comes back and we get caught, that means we're going to all go to prison for a really long time, and I can't tolerate that idea. So that's why I have a hard time understanding this, but I think you guys are all right. And you are the ones that have convinced me. It's just so hard for me because I know they never even really gave it a fair thought. Like within minutes. You could argue that they had, if you think that they got to the house at 12:19, then maybe they had a full 5 minutes to contemplate calling 911. But if you believe that they got to the house at 12:24, then they didn't even have two full minutes to think about whether or not to call 911. Maybe even, I guess 2 minutes probably about, but so that's insane. Because the deadline would have been that 12:27 text. Now, Some of you sent me to the Dream Media. A couple of you emailed me. We talked about it, I think, last Wednesday. Some Dream Feed Media. And I did check out some of those videos. And I know that there was a time when Jennifer McCabe said at 12:21 that she texted John, "Park behind me," or it was either the here or park behind me or both. But the problem is that on the cell phone records, which are corroborated by John's cell phone, that text message is at 12:27. So the first text message that says here question mark is at 12:27. So to me, that's the first alibi text. That's the time Jen obviously knows John is injured. And that is her first, like, I'm going to try to cover this up. So to me, now maybe there's an argument to be made, but you kind of can't have it both ways, right? Like, if you send that text, you know that you're not going to call 911 because now you're trying to play it off like he's out front and you're staring at the car telling it where to park. Right? So, to me, that's the time. By 12:27 a.m., this group has already decided we are not calling for help. We're just going to cover this up, which is not, it's like a minute and a half. It's very, very quick. It's just so evil. So evil. At Lazy LCH sends $10. I really need some explanation on Colin signing up and being unavailable a week later. It's a great, great question. When my niece signed up, it was like 6 months from sign up to getting shipped out. Yes, so this is another really good question. I guess, I don't know. We're going to have to find out. We're going to have to talk to a recruiter, like an Army recruiter, because let me ask it this way. Let's say that you knew there was going to be a ship leaving to set sail next week, right? Maybe you had 6 months to sign up to be on that ship, but you know that it is actually setting sail next week. And the very last second that you can to sign up to go on that ship is like 10 days before. Is it possible that that's what he did? That he knew there was a ship metaphorically leaving the port and he waited until the very last minute to sign the dotted line so that he could be on it? It's possible. I mean, I'm with you. It seems insane because what the lawyer stood up today and said, assuming we believe anything he says, which I've already have doubts about anything that he says being true. But he stood up and said he just found out when we did. And yeah, he found out on May 20th and then June 3rd he was leaving. Yeah, so I mean, I'm with you, Lazy LCH. I think you and I are kind of having the same experience right now because this very much feels contrived, right? Like it feels this was like always the plan. The whole timeline was planned this way. Oh, I know. We'll, file the civil lawsuit because remember, they all knew what the last date to file was, right? And it was the day before the last day that they had to file that civil case, a defamation case, that it was filed. So they waited till the very last day. So they knew that they were going to be filing at that time. And I'm sure they had their eye on when Colin was going to abscond. So, I mean, the whole thing is really silly. That's a really good point, though. Of course, it's not something that most people do today and then leave tomorrow. And to your point, most people, they're aware, they have some planning and, forethought before going into the Army. You hope, because the ones that don't stay very long. At Russ T Bed Springs sends $20. Sam with the big get. This is awesome. Love both of y'all. So fun, right? Larry's the best. It was so much fun to get to talk to him. At CMD Pisces sends 499. Judge Gilday was awesome today regarding Colin not delaying his depo. I thought so too. And also, by the way, he was great with the way he handled Proctor. We kind of forget about that because Proctor never got deposed because Karen's team was like, yeah, I assumed it was Alan Jackson already went back to California, so he wasn't going to be there to sit for the deposition. But he handled the Proctor thing pretty well too. I mean, he was ready to make Proctor show up the very next day to sit for that deposition. I don't know if we actually got confirmation on when he will be sitting for his deposition, but he was ready. I mean, it was Karen's team, full stop, that ultimately were the ones that said, no, we can't do it, Judge. So I'm with you, but I have had some of my attorney friends put the fear of God in me about him too, because I think I'm learning this. Like I told you just a few minutes ago, lawyers are kind of new in my life. Like I've had some friends on the, peripheries that were attorneys, but I wasn't close to them. So now I'm starting to become more friendly with the lawyers. And I realize they're pretty negative people. They really, really are. Like, they really are like, oh God, like expect the worst, hope for the best. So I can't tell because when I ask some of my lawyer friends, what did you think? They really have this the glass is half empty kind of like gloom and doom perspective. And so I don't know if it's just how lawyers are or if it's really something to be concerned about. That's why I'm asking you guys. This guy, look, here's the good news. He seems pretty no nonsense. He seems like, pretty old school. But I am very reluctant to buy this because of everything that Karen has been through. I mean, could it get any worse than Judge Bev? No, of course not, because there's no way it could get worse. And so far, I feel like this guy's been pretty no nonsense, but I don't know. I have a hard time knowing what to trust. I really, really don't. I really do. Hard time with these people knowing who to trust. I also, what do you guys think about the Life 360? I mean, it's funny because when Vince was asking me about this earlier today, I kind of said to him, look, I have a hard time going by any of the data. That's why I always spend all this time analyzing their testimony, because to me, that's where the answers are. The data can go either way. I mean, you look at the Google search, right? Commonwealth went out and found 2 experts to tell us that, that Google search never happened. Now, we know it did. Of course it did. Obviously it did, but it was Jen's testimony that confirmed that it did to me. I mean, talk about egregious lying. It might be fun to revisit Jen's testimony again. It's just, it's intense because she is just, Jen's testimony is so over the top that it's like, are we even on Earth anymore? What planet are we on? But it's how we ultimately came to determine, it's how I came to determine that she definitely Googled how long to die in the cold. I mean, no question. She Googled it at 2:20 whatever in the morning, 2:27. Without a doubt. I mean, it's not even a question. But that didn't come from the data. That's my point. My point is that you can always find an expert somewhere who can put their spin on data. That's the lesson that I'm kind of coming to with all of this. And what I really appreciated about what's his name? Oh my God, I've just blanked on his name. Michael Easter. What I really appreciated about his report is that he said, look, with all this data, we take it, we analyze it, and then we use it to go point us in the direction of more confirmation, right? Like, so we take the 227 Google search, and then you know what we do? This is a revolution. We go to Google and we say, hey, Google, did this search happen at this time or this time? I was like, oh, wow, what a revolution. And guess what? If the Commonwealth really wanted to know whether or not that Google search happened, don't you think that's who they would have called to find out? So annoying. Isn't it just so annoying? Like, there are people in this world right now who have the power, the ability to actually go investigate the answers to all of these questions. And these piece of shit people are doing anything but that. Anything and everything but that. It's so wrong. So wrong. At Villanelle27 sends $7.99. Lucky I am by myself listening to this. What the F? Someone needs to explain to this lawyer that cost is his problem. Oh my God, it's so frustrating. Yeah, you know what? I don't think he liked hearing it though. It's so interesting. It seemed to me like what he was doing, like he had exhausted all of his excuses. And so he just kind of like landed on the last one he could think of and then threw that out there. It also seemed, and this was I don't know, you tell me if you thought this too. Sounds like there's only one, like it's him, and then he's got another person from his firm on the Connecticut side, not the Massachusetts side. So there's two of them. So it sounds like they're not, a huge outfit. Why take this case then? Why would you take this case? Why take this case if you don't have the resources to support it? Why take this case? Do you really think you're going to win? Do you know how hard this is going to be? Do you think this guy really understood when he first made the decision to take this case? Do you think that this guy right here, this defamation case lawyer that is representing Colin Albert also, do you think he got the full scope and gravity of what he was doing? It's hard for me to believe he did, because this is a bad choice. Like, after everything that Karen Reed has already been through, looking at the numbers of people, like, what do you think the percentage is? People that look at the evidence, and I don't want to, like, Dave Aronson, like, people that aren't actually looking at the evidence aside, I don't think we should let them have a vote, because you have to at least know the basics. You have to understand the basic level of evidence in the case. Of all the people that understand at a baseline level what the factors are in this case, what percentage do you think walk away believing that the car hit John and that John hit the car versus that didn't? What do you think those numbers are? Because this guy, as Larry just told us, Colin's attorney, who represents the House defendants in the defamation suit against Aidan and Karen, has made the calculation that he's going to get a jury of people in the state of Massachusetts where this is happening to believe over 50% that Karen Reed is responsible for the death of John O'Keefe. I mean, first off, do you want to be the one to take that on? That's number one. And number two, like, you really think you're going to win that? I don't know. At Mark, hello, Mark again, sends $4.99. This judge is far better than Bev. Oh, for sure. IMO, he wants to get it done now and not playing any game. Yeah. No, I think that's right, Mark. He's no nonsense. He's like, all right, let's go. I want to get this shit done. Let's get it over, right? Let's get this moving. Let's not let this drag on forever. And also, I will tell you, this case, in a way, I hate to even say it, but in a way, this case is so layered. There's so many players. It's so complicated. There's so many pieces of evidence. And, it's so massive. Could you imagine all these people have different judges? All these cases have different judges who have a different handle on all the evidence. It's like, Might as well have one guy master, the players, the people, the places, the times, and then kind of make the decisions, I guess, as down the middle as he can, right? Because that's what you want. You want somebody who's fair. That's what I would want. I mean, as a judge, that's what I would want to be. I'd want to be as fair-minded as possible. I think you're right there, Mark. At Emma Molina 5140 is a member for 2 months. Sam, love your analysis. The one that I loved the most was the Koenig trial. It was very helpful watching his testimony, noticing how I felt. I believed him. Well, thank you very much, and happy 2-month anniversary. Yes, a lot of people didn't agree with me and were very mad at me about the Koenig case. But like I said, I was grateful for that case because it helped me to just I'm going to call it balls and strikes the way I see it, whether it's the popular opinion or not. And that made me feel better when jackasses, come at me like the minions, Brian Albert minions on X, who want to say oh, you're only in this for clicks and views. No, that isn't true. Because I'm just going to tell you what I think is true, whether it's popular or not. Great if it is. If it isn't, so it sucks for me, I guess. So I get it, though. I get it. At KMSC73 sends $9.99. Do you think that Ryan Nagel? Ooh, no. Mm-mm. No, Ryan Nagel's not that kind of guy at all. No, I don't. He's just not that kind of guy, Ryan Nagel. Just not like just because of who he is. They're just not. How do I say this? They're like the drinkers. They're like the bar people, like the locals that hang out at the bar. Not drug users. No. I'm trying to think, is there anybody in that house that I think was really, Colin is the only one that would even be a candidate. Unless I'm overlooking somebody. As far as what we know, we don't know. I've never seen or had any real, profile that I've seen on the girls that are in that house that allegedly leave before Karen and John pull up out front. Catherine Duty, Mary, Kate, or whatever, those girls. Aside from them, because I don't know who they are, the only person I could think of that would even be in the running would be Colin, and maybe Brian Jr. smokes weed. Maybe Julie Nagel smokes weed every once in a while, but I just don't think these guys are drug dealers at all. Absolutely not. Now, but they are lying. I don't think I put that out yet. Did I put that out? Did you guys see an analysis video of the three of them recently? I can't remember if I put that out. Like I said, I'm working on 3 or 4 videos all at the same time, and I don't think I released them all. But most recently, I did an analysis of Ryan, Ricky, and Heather. And it is very sad and pathetic what I found. Very, very sad and pathetic. I did release part of it. I just remembered. I released part of it. It's a members only video. If you are a member, it is released to you. Maybe I'll release it. I can put it out tonight for a period of time for everybody to see it. Check that out. There's another one that I still have to finish so you can see the whole analysis of all of them. But they are lying. They are lying. The part that is absolutely... So here's what they're lying about. It's very strange because, look, here's the thing, guys. We know with pretty specifically what time Ryan pulls up and drives off because he has to drive. He pulls up right behind Karen and he leaves before Karen. We know Karen disconnects from John's phone. Her car disconnects from John's phone 12:30. She's back at One Meadows at 12:36, right? So we know that Karen is gone, and they see Karen. They pull around her as they pull away. So they're only there for at most 6 minutes. I think that's right. I think it's 6 minutes. But they are all over the map on how long they say they're there. I mean, literally, like in the same testimony, one of them, Ryan will say, oh, it was like 35 seconds that she came and went. And then Jackson will get up and be like, do you remember saying to the grand jury, or Yannetti will get up, do you remember saying at the grand jury that she was out there for like 5 or 6 minutes? So they give all kinds of varied testimony across the three of them about how long she was out there for, how long the whole thing was. And then they're all lying about her inviting them inside. And it is clear as day. You'll see it with your own eyes. It's not hard to see. So that's the part that they're lying about for sure. They were not invited inside. What I suspect happened, they came, they sat there and waited for her for 2.5 minutes. She came out. She very quickly said, hey guys, I think I'm going to stay. They said, okay, fine. Shut the door. She walked back in and they pulled away. That's what I think happened with Ryan and Ricky and Heather. I think it was pretty non-eventful, but after the fact, for whatever reason, they made the decision that they are going to support Julie by telling us, testifying, all of us, that she invited them inside. That's the key. That's the big deception that they tell. That's their big deception, which is, I mean, by the way, you got to see to the question about them dealing drugs. I mean, they are so anxious about lying. Both of them, Heather and Ryan. Ricky's a clown, but Heather and Ryan are both very, very worked up about having to tell us something that isn't true. I will show it to you if I ever get to finish those videos. Like I said, I'm working on so many stories right now. I can't get them out before the next one starts. It's really difficult. So with that, we're going to take just a quick 3 minutes. I'm going to run to the restroom. We're going to do a fervent break, and then we will come back. We will take all your questions and see if we have some time to do some analysis of Allie McCabe and this whole nonsense about her life 360. So let's grab our trusty fervent. And if you haven't, hopefully you guys have begun to vote in the most recent fervent, or one of the most recent fervent videos. He is like putting his songs up against each other to get them out on Spotify and get them out on iTunes, all of that. So definitely, if you haven't done so, make sure you get your vote in on that fervent video. Vote for your favorite fervent songs. Okay.
We believe that we can unlock an iPhone with our ass. We believe that medical science is a bunch of crap. We believe that Sir Isaac Newton doesn't know shit about physics. We believe that Celebrite sometimes makes up timestamps but still is the best in the business. We believe that it is acceptable to rehome your family pet of 7 years. We believe that when we are harassed, that's the only time we shed real tears. We believe that we love John O'Keefe, but our group chat showed no compassion. We believe that sometimes you slip on ice and land on your knuckles. Don't you hate when that happens? We believe in providing law enforcement with specific text strings that make us look good, and then destroying the ever-loving shit out of our phones. phones. I'm not done. And then taking that destroyed phone and dumping it on a military base. Totally normal. We believe in manipulating people when they are most vulnerable. We believe we have to tell each other what to say to Channel 4, even though it's supposedly the truth. We believe that you're dumb enough to believe that John's injuries came from an SUV. We believe that if we put a billboard up, we can shift the narrative and point the finger back at the woman who was acquitted twice. We believe in disgracing the memory of a law enforcement officer and turning his tragic death into the biggest spectacle. Now shut up, look the other way, and give us money. Sincerely yours, the House defendants.
Called you up into my office, got you flowers and some chocolate. I don't really do this often, but I think we need some talking. First off, is it Deva or Diva? I think I have liver fever. But before we take this deeper, I need to know if you're a keeper. What did you see in the salad bowl? Are you sure it's something you need to report? I got an idea, I hope you agree. How about you blame it on a false memory? When the feds came, why did you sing? You should've knew better and gave me a ring. Know this and know this only before you go and give your testimony. Officer Deva, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Oh, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Oh, do the right thing. Don't get it twisted, this ain't a bribe. But if you tell the truth, there goes that 9 to 5. No more 6-figure salary. If you say what you saw on that Sally Port screen, I'll have your back. Unless they ask me some questions, I'll have your back. Until I throw you under the bus, I'll have your back. Let this be a lesson, I'll have your back. Really means I won't have your back. When the feds came, why did you sing? You should've knew better and gave me a ring. Know this and know this only before you go and give your testimony. Officer Deva, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Oh, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Oh, do the right thing. Unfortunately, Kelly, you're the only one going down. There won't be a public records lawsuit that'll expose me or anything.
I am back.
Fervent.
Before we go, I'm going to play my favorite Fervent song. It's a tough call. There's so many good ones, but there's one that I don't know why. I just love it the most. And there's so many good ones, but I don't know. If you haven't seen how he makes these songs, you have to check out that video. It was so interesting to hear how he's doing this. So interesting. Let's hear from you guys. At Mr. G70 sends $5 at 1227. Did Karen leave 1227? No, Karen did not leave by then. So it's interesting, Mr. G, that you asked that question. There's two texts that Jen sends. There's the here ? Text, ! ? And then there's the pull behind me text. Those two, one is I think at 12:27, is the other one at 12:32? Those two, I think in Jen's mind, could have happened while they were still out front, while the others couldn't have, right? So the others are a little bit later. And I think in her mind, she separates these first two from the latter ones. And I'm not sure what the line of demarcation is, but I suspect that it's feasibility. Which two are feasible while Lexus is still out front versus which the ones that are not. But this kills me. It kills me because if you know how Betero always says intellectual curiosity, these people have no intellectual curiosity. That is so true. If you're a district attorney, one of these ADAs, and you find out after listening to Jen McCabe talk about getting up and sitting down and looking out and texting, and she remembers because she was watching Karen's Lexus out front, right? There's this whole song and dance that she does around this multiple times. To then find out that Karen isn't there at all after 12:30, this whole up and down that she's doing is all contrived. It's just complete horse doo-doo. Couldn't possibly be true, right? Because the Lexus is not there. And they're the ones that had that data, right? They had the data. The Commonwealth knew exactly when Karen pulled away because they knew vis-a-vis, what's her name? Jessica Hyde, that Karen's Lexus disconnected from John's phone at 12:30, and they knew that she was back connected to the Wi-Fi at 12:36. They knew she wasn't there. Did they ever investigate that to say, hey, why might Jennifer McCabe be lying? No, of course not. Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. Of course she's telling us the truth. It's just so dishonest. At Villanelle 27 sends $7.99. Also, just wanted to say thank you for all you do. Wednesday live starts at 9 a.m. Oh my God, in Australia, I can work and yell at these idiots in courtroom. Well, I am so glad that that timing works out well for you. That is wonderful. And good morning to you. At Emer42 sends $4.99. Is Vince in trouble forever? I know it was V-Bad, but he looks awful. He looks awful, not you. I think a timeout is fair punishment, but respect what you need to do. I don't think he's in trouble forever. I love Vince. I will always love Vince. I will always consider Vince a dear friend. As far as whether we are going to continue to do Mondays, I'm in trouble and I have to figure that out. So I'm in trouble because I have a dissertation that needs to be underway like 2 semesters ago. And I don't have time to do it. So I have to do it. I have to sit down. I have to declare my committee and I have to start buckle down and start doing the literature review. And it has to happen right away. So during this little timeout, my thought was maybe I could use Mondays instead of doing the show on Mondays. I could just buckle down and use Mondays to do that. So that is what I am considering. But as of now, I have not made any official decision, but there's no way around it. I have to do it. And I'm in big, big trouble if I don't. So that is where we stand currently on that. At Cynthia Marks 139 sends $4.99. If we could find out when Colin's phone linked up to the Wi-Fi at his house, then we'll know the truth of when he got home, right? I mean, assuming that his phone linked up to the Wi-Fi, yeah, sure. I would think it would, right? I mean, I would think that at this point, for all of us, when we walk into our homes, the phone is going to automatically connect to the Wi-Fi. So I would say that's a pretty, I think that's right. So that should be easy to find out, right? Shouldn't that be easy to find out? How do we do that? Okay, so let me ask it like this. If I wanted to get my cell phone data right? Like I wanted to find out what is on my cell phone. How much does that cost? How much would it cost to go to a cell phone expert and say, can you do a full analysis of my phone, a Celebrate analysis of my phone? I don't know. It's an interesting, it's a really good question though, right? Because I mean, again, to me, this seems like a no-brainer, Cynthia. You are 100% correct. It should be a no-brainer. Should be a no-brainer. At Assuron Fish sends 199. Ryan Nagel, no, but Ricky D'Antano. Ricky is such a clown, you guys. I don't even know. I don't know. I just never, like, I never really stopped and analyzed. You know how there's two ways to listen, right? Or watch. One is like you're cleaning up, you're doing the dishes, you know, like you're moving around your life and listening. Then there's sitting and listening, right? Like staring and watching. And I just hadn't done that with Ricky D'Antano before, I don't think, because he's just such a clown. I mean, he answered these questions like a clown. I don't know how else to say it. Like he didn't take it seriously. That's the best way I can describe it. Like he his response. So case in point. The question is, how far in front of your car was the Lexus? That's the question. Ricky says 20 yards. 20 yards. Okay. Ryan says a car or a car length and a half in front of us. And Heather says a couple of feet. So when Yannetti says 20 yards to Ricky, Ricky like laughs because he knows it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount of distance. 20 yards, if you put that into your trusted AI, it's 4 to 4.5 car lengths. So in my mind, what was happening there, some of these witnesses were trying to position the Lexus closer to the flagpole, right? So some of these guys were trying to help the Alberts, you know, more than the others. I think the one thing that Heather did do was lie about the question being asked, you know, do you guys want to come inside? That's the one thing she lied about. The rest of, well, the other thing that is very debatable and that we could probably debate all day is, did you see John? There is some reason to say, I will tell you this, it's shady. Just analyzing, I sort of discount Ricky because he's just such a clown that he's just a clown. I don't know how else to say. I don't take anything he says seriously because you can't. He does not answer with any certainty. Everything is, I would, or I guess, could have been. It's like he's making a mockery of the court situation. Ryan and Heather, I think, are trying to be as honest as they can be, but there are reason to believe that they are being dishonest about whether they saw John, and I can't tell definitively. I just can't tell. So I can tell you that it's not a sure thing, that it's not like, oh yeah, that was really honest. But I can't say that they definitely saw him. That's the best I can do with that answer. Hopefully that's, you got to watch the analysis. I think it'll be a lot more clear to you when you see it. I just hope I put it out. I think I did. I don't remember. D. Guidici, oh, I like that last name, became a member. Welcome, D. Guidici. We are extremely excited to have you with us. At CFS _ HOF13 sends 1999. Proctor would hate the diversity of Karen's attorneys at today's hearing. Jewish, South African, Asian. Jewish, South African, Asian. Proctor just, you know, he's like just brain dead? Like, does Proctor just strike you as like the world's biggest idiot? I just like he's just a moron. He's just a moron. Somebody who just likes to walk in a room and be hateful to be hateful? What a waste of energy. You know what a waste of energy that is? It's like actually physically is draining to be that angry all the time. Such a waste of energy. It really is. And I don't know how you could be any kind of legitimate investigator and even have the energy to be an investigator if you're walking around analyzing the world through those kinds of glasses all the time. At It's Good to Be Free became a YouTube member. Welcome. It's good to be free. At CC007 sends 199. You were a big fan of Heather being truthful. She's truthful up until a certain point. So I will tell you she's truthful up until the question about, I think the first question where the line of demarcation starts to shift is when she is asked whether or not she sees John. I think that's the first question. That's how come you can tell that it's questionable, because she completely changes how she's answering. So that's the first red flag. The second is the whole thing about being invited inside. So watch it. If you see it, you'll see it. It's like really easy, because with Heather, her pattern of how she answers is so black and white. It's very predictable until it isn't. That's the whole, you guys remember this, when she's like, oh, we were just chit-chatting. Wait, what? That's the question where she's being asked, well, what did you guys talk about? Like, what happened when Julie came to the car? And Heather says, oh, we were just chit-chatting. You're like, oh, you guys were just shooting the shit out in the car it's a blizzard and, Julie's standing outside. And that's the moment where you guys just start shooting the breeze. Like, it's just so obviously ridiculous. But also her body language completely changes. I mean, it is interesting. So if you look back at it, Cece, she's really honest, and how she engages, she's really honest. Like, she's right there. And then that completely changes. For example, when she's answering the question, I think it's the second trial about whether she saw John, she literally pushes herself back, like pushes herself away from the prosecutor, looks down, and then like brushes off her clothing. It's like, nope, you're like, what just happened? So you'll see it. You can see it. I think that's part of what makes it easier to see with Heather, because, like I said, she kind of is very, honest until she isn't. I just hate it. Like, I just hate it. See, like, I hate it. I just hate it. I hate the lying. I hate when I see it. It's like so deflating and just feels bad. Really does. It feels bad. At de Guidici sends 199. The Army will not let you enlist. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, interesting. The Army will not let you enlist if you have a subpoena. So that means then they would have to not know about it? How does that work? Because that subpoena, there was, right? There was a subpoena. There definitely was a subpoena, because that was what the whole controversy was about. Whether or not they were going to honor that subpoena because it was, in their mind, expired. I don't. That's really interesting. Will it ever end with Colin? And by the way, how does that work? I thought, and you guys have to correct me, this guy, Colin's lawyer, said that for 10 days he was going to one place and then he was going to ship off to basic training. Has anybody ever had to go through that? I just remember friends of mine, when they had enlisted, when they had gone into the military, they just went right to basic training. I don't remember there being like a 10-day interim period. Do you guys remember there being a 10-day interim, like a class or something? It's really weird. At CFS HOF13, welcome, became a member. We have our next members only live very soon coming up. At Got a Bad Feeling sends $49.99. Oh my God, thank you so much, Got a Bad Feeling. Thank you, Samantha, for all you do, continuing to spoil us week after week. Love you and appreciate you more than words can express. Thank you so much, Got a Bad Feeling. That's so kind of you. I so appreciate you. You guys are too kind. You really are. So the Life 360, that is kind of where I am at, just to give you my like most recent analysis. What I would say is, first, we already know. If you've seen any of my analysis of Allie McCabe, you already know that I don't believe that Allie was at the house that night. The only hesitation that I had for a second, there's one question that she answers about what did he, she's asked by Adam Lally, did you observe, like, did he seem intoxicated? Did you notice that he, like, had any bruises or anything on his body? And she just keeps saying normal, like normal. That answer was suspect to me, sent off a red flag and made me think maybe she did see him, but it's so hard to say because is it deception because she didn't see him at all and she has to invent something that didn't happen? Or is it deception because she did see him and doesn't want to say what she saw? So that's the only place in any of her testimony that made me go, oh, maybe she saw him. Otherwise, I am perfectly comfortable saying that Allie McCabe was not at 34 Fairview on the night in question. And we don't have time to do it now. I actually have to drive back to New York City tonight. It's like a 3-hour drive. It sucks. But if you have a minute, check out Allie's testimony. Note the story that she tells about the dog. You guys all know the story, the cutesy story. It was like a character builder. You know, Adam Lally asks her and she tells us that she's driving around with her friends. And I forget, like Danielle and whoever, 2 girls. So there's 3 of them and they're driving around and they're just driving around and they see a little dog on Elm Street and then they go to the police station and everybody stays in the car with the dog and she goes in and she tells the police that they found a dog. And while she's at the police station, the lady who owns the dog happens to call and says, hey, could you bring my dog back, please? And so then they bring the dog back to the lady. So this is Allie, no problem, telling us in some substance and detail about when her and her 2 friends were driving around and found this little dog, a white fluffy dog. Later on, however, when asked about picking up her cousin at 34 Fairview, note her responses. Where did you park? I don't know. On the left side, I believe, but I don't know why I believe it. That's like her actual answer. She's just totally full of shit. Then, which door did he come out? I don't know. Where did he get into the car? I don't know. Did he get into the passenger side? I don't know. Well, geez, Allie. What did you see? Was it snowing? Lights on. That's it. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It is bad. And it's not the worst of it. The worst of it comes later when she absolutely, without a doubt, is deceptive. I mean, she just outright deceives, period, point blank. That comes later on cross-examination when she is talking about not Colin not being there when John was there. That's where she really starts to dig like the big ditch for herself. That's where she gives us like the without a doubt, with absolute certainty that I am lying. Colin was at the house. That is what she tells us in that whole statement. Just so you're, if in case you're not sure, during that whole little, unplanned, is that, I think it's direct. Is it redirect? Might be redirect where she gives us all of that. I'll try to find it for you for next time. I was going to go through Allie's testimony, but it's long. It's way longer than we have time for tonight. But I will try to pull some of the key clips for next time. It's definitely in I think it's the first episode. No. I recently did 2 videos on Colin Albert. Either it's in part 1 or part 2. Towards the end, I cover the screenshots. And in that effort, you'll see I did an analysis of Allie McCabe, and you'll see it in there. I think it's the second one. I think it's part 2 towards the end. She is she's giving us extra information that's not asked for. Now, whenever you see any witness, no matter what the circumstances, opting information that they are not asked for, pay attention. That is a huge, big red flag. It means there is something that they want you to know, and that they're afraid the lawyer, whoever their lawyer is, isn't going to ask the right questions. So this is their moment. This is the moment where they're supposed to tell you whatever they want you to know. And in that moment, Allie decides to make this like her big proclamation for how Colin wasn't at the house. And in doing that, she essentially 100% tells us definitively that Colin was at the house. So it's definitive. And I'm not just talking about the one statement that she makes about not being there while John was there. That was a mistake, obviously, but it's also it's a lie. He was there when John was there, right? So the way she says that is a lie, not because she screws up, right? She screws up and she says, well, because Colin wasn't there when John was there. But in doing so, the real screw up is in that statement. It's an explanatory statement plus a negative. It is entirely something that she decides on her own to interject without a question being asked. It is absolute deception. So, in my opinion, Allie was not there at the house that night. But to the point that Larry Foreman made, right? There was a calculated decision that night. Brian Albert is the leader. Brian Higgins is the sidekick. Brian Albert says, we're going to keep it in the family. We are the only people that we can trust, without a doubt, is all of us. And if you saw the Innocent series that I did, there is one person that Brian Albert shows clear signs of anxiety about that night. And that one person is Sarah Levinson. He shows throughout his testimony that he's worried about her. There's anxiety actively on that night about Sarah because Julie he knew. And he's very clear about that. Now, Brian Albert, he's going to be the last to know. Even in their preparation, guys, for trial, it was Nicole, Caitlin, and Brian Jr. The 3 of them coordinated their testimony, but Brian Albert didn't do it with them because he's telling a different story in many of the moments that they're coordinated around. He goes in a different direction, does his own thing, right? So those 3 very clearly practiced together, studied together, right? But not everybody does. Not everybody does. You would think that they would have, but they didn't. I mean, they're just, I don't know. How that's even possible, I don't know. It's insulting. But the point is, Brian Albert is like the guy, the leader. And where were they going to go? Who else could be Colin's alibi reliably, so much so that you could trust them to get on a witness stand and say, oh, yeah, I was there. I picked him up. I brought him home. So if Allie didn't bring him home, and I believe she didn't. I mean, I've always believed she didn't. Then he had to get home some other way. And then the question is, well, how did he get home? Right? Who took him home? Now, that opens the door for a lot of candidates. For example, Caitlin. Caitlin had to leave anyway because Caitlin takes the dog. Has to take the dog, right? Somebody takes the dog, and I keep forgetting to bring the documents. In one of the more recent FOIA dumps, there's I believe it's in the handwritten notes that Chloe was rehomed twice. She was rehomed to one person. That person had to give Chloe to the vet because Chloe was, quote, too aggressive. So the only person that could keep Chloe was the vet. Now, I don't know what happened after that, but this is in some of those handwritten notes say that Chloe was rehomed to a vet because of her aggression. I do not know why the defense didn't use that. I don't know where that came from, but it is definitely in there and it is pretty clear. It's pronounced. It's clear as day that that's what it says. So somebody took Chloe out of the house. And here's the thing. Now, people have said, well, Chloe maybe was shot. Maybe they killed Chloe that night. It's my understanding that the two incident reports follow January 29th, that it was sometime in the spring of 2022 when the dog has that whole attack in front of the house and ends up sending a lady to the emergency room. I think that happens after, from what I remember. So Chloe was there after January 29th. What happened in the end, I don't know. But I believe that Chloe left that house. Oh, there's more. I forgot. Some of you already know this, but I learned this recently. I did not know that Caitlin Albert went out and got her own German Shepherd, that she is a German Shepherd enthusiast. So she would have been the most likely candidate to take Chloe anyway, because she loved Chloe so much that she, when she got her own home, got another one, got her own Chloe. And I just remember this. This is all coming into my mind right now. And I think it was Boozy Beauty who told us this. At that time, people reportedly had seen two German Shepherds at Caitlin's house. At Tristan's, not Caitlin's. Tristan lived at 34 Fairview, but Tristan's house. That there were reports of there being two German Shepherds. So my point is, Caitlin could have left the house with Colin, dropped Colin off, and then, had Chloe and went to Tristan's. Now, why they don't want us to know that Caitlin lived at 34 Fairview and had her car at the house, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's stupid. It's in the Aperture report because apparently Aperture was allowed to know, but not us, not all of us. I mean, come on, you guys. Tristan himself, Tristan tells us that Caitlin wasn't living there. It's so stupid. You know what? These people, and they're lying. It just gets exhaustive. It just does. I hate it. It's just, all they do is just lie, like, with every breath throughout both trials, all of them. And it's just incessant lying. And it's provable shit. It's actually in the evidence. Oh, it's so annoying. And I really want you guys think about this too. Some of you have a lot of experience and are lawyers and people in and around the law yourselves. Do you think there's enough evidence as it stands right now to get a jury of 12 people to convict people in the house? Now, I know that would be hard to do because who do you charge? I don't know enough about the law. Could you charge some kind of a conspiracy? Could it be Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Colin, Nicole? I don't know. Because obviously the people in that house know what happened to John. Because here's the thing. You proved definitively no car hits John, John, no car, easy peasy. That's already been done. That was already proven beyond a reasonable doubt. We know that can be proven. It's already happened. Right? So if that's already done, well, then now what? Do we have enough evidence to point the finger elsewhere? It's a legitimate question, and it's not an easy one, but I believe that there is. And maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm so biased because I am analyzing all of their testimony and I can see it with my eyes, but it's not as clear what is tangible. What do we have for actual evidence? At Ms. Holmes 66 sends $2. I would ask for proof that he is accepted to the Army. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I have to believe that's why we got that video, right? I mean, Aidan got that video like the same day that he, I guess, enlisted. How did we end up with that? They must wanted us to have it. I'm guessing. At I sing when I am inspired sends $4.99. There are 3 kinds of lies. Lies, damn lies, and lies and statistics. Mark Twain. In the modern age, I'd add cell phone data. I love it. That's hilarious. That's super cute. Yeah, I mean, right? Isn't it amazing how we've seen, I mean, nobody's seen better than us, how you can take cell phone data and like manipulate it, right? Make the exact same information sort of say one thing or another thing. It's so silly. It's just so silly. It really, really is. At Chevelle 17 became a new member. Welcome, Chevelle 17. At CMD Pisces sends $19.99. Just wanted to say thank you for all you do. I love your show and really look forward to hearing from your perspective. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you too. At D Guadici sends $9.99. Grok says, no way you can enlist. They will delay your enlistment till all legal matters are taken care of. And if you lied, you are in big trouble. Yeah, I mean, not only a subpoena, but he filed a lawsuit, right? I mean, he filed a civil lawsuit. So, I mean, he just started a legal matter. That's interesting, though. Could it be that he waits until after he is like background check cleared? Like gets the A.O.K. and then, drops the civil suit? This is a really good question. We gotta find out. I mean, so what does that mean? He's not in the military? I mean, they're stupid, but they can't be that stupid to lie in court and say that he did when he didn't. Tell the judge, oh yeah, he really is in the Army, but he's not. And that would be so fucking stupid. At Saucy Meat Sauce sends $5. Innocence was such an amazing series, especially for someone coming in late to this case. It really connects the dots. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I was hoping that's what it was going to do, but I didn't know it was going to do that. Saucy Meat Sauce, that just happened completely by accident. Honestly, that's the truth. That's what happens when, after all this time, I had a really simple question. Like, what was going on in that house between 12:10 and 12:25? And once you try to get the answer to that question, the inevitable conclusion that you come to is not very much, because almost as soon as everybody gets to the house, this happens. Whatever happens to John happens. And one thing I would love, this is something that maybe we'll get from Karen's deposition. this is something I would really, really love, because I know we've heard some statements from Karen about this, but not enough. Why does she think, like, she says there's been a number of experiences where she saw John and Colin have interactions that were aggressive. What were they? I know we've heard about the lawn and John and the lawn and chasing after the kid and Candy and all that bullshit. But I want to know from Karen Reed. That's what I want to know. Like, tell us about the interactions that you saw with your own eyes between Colin and John that made you feel like Colin was aggressive and somebody who had it in him to fight John for really no reason, because that's what she believes. And it's clear to me that Karen believes that, right? Like, she also has told us, and we know now very clearly, matter of factly, she also believes that Brian Higgins was involved. She said it. We saw it. It's in the claim. Brian Higgins was involved. But she doesn't think that he would have wanted to fight John. She does, in fact, think that Brian Albert and Colin would be the type that would, love to be in a fight. Like, look for that, right? Look to fight. Would pick a fight even. And it's funny because when you start going down that line of thinking, it does make sense. It's hard for me to ignore that, the character stuff, right? Because it makes a big difference. People seem to think that, for some reason, some people believe that Brian Higgins wouldn't have been the type to want to hurt John. Well, if there's a person on earth that believes that and knew the players involved directly herself, I have to listen, right? I have to listen to her. At CC007 sends 199. Big believer, not what you know, it's who you know. Thanks, Brian Albert. No doubt. I think we've seen that in this case, right? If nothing else, we have seen that. Absolutely, CC. At Bob is my name. Hi, Bob. Sends $10. The McAlberts are having, I know, a big fundraiser at the Canton Town Club this Friday on Juneteenth. No shame. I know. And you know what I think, Bob is my name? If I had any time at all, I think we need to organize that, because if they can do it and they can raise all this money for their legal team or whatever, look at what we could do for Karen and Aidan if we did the same thing, but it would be much bigger. I mean, we could rent out like the Hilton in Boston and have a big gala, and it would be so fun. Oh my God. I wish I had the time to do it, because if those piece of garbage human beings can do it, of course we could do it too. They're going to be auctioning off pictures of Brian Albert signed photos. I mean, oh my God. Listen, if I could, I would get a spy to go in and and go for us, go check it out, right? I mean, it would be super fun, but I certainly can't go. And Arlene DeFranco became a YouTube member. Welcome, Arlene DeFranco. We are super excited to have you. At Mr. G70 sends $5. There's a difference between civil and criminal for the Army. Ah, well, that certainly makes sense. Of course, right? I mean, that would sort of stands to reason. So perhaps if it's a criminal subpoena, then they wouldn't be able to enlist, potentially. At Buffy SK8S sends $20. My theory has always been that Chloe attacked John and knocked him over into the fireplace, but due to the homeowners and multiple bites, they were afraid of being sued. Yeah. Now I'm back to Colin, or both Collins, and then Collins. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible, Buffy's K8, that all of this is true, right? I mean, Chloe was involved. There's absolutely no question about that. And there's no way around that. And, you can be a minion for Brian Albert and believe whatever you want, but it will defy logic, because there is no way that a cracked taillight with a piece missing is going to cause the dog bite wounds on John O'Keefe's arm. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not possible. And anybody with eyes can see that. And the thing is, the more this is like anything, the more that you've ever seen the dog bite, like you look at that and that is a dog bite. If you've seen dog bites, right? If you haven't, then maybe your mind is like, well, what could it be? It could be a lot of things. But if you've seen dog bites, And I've said this before, if you haven't ever done this, there is one case in the medical journals where a person, this is terrible to say, but was attacked and killed by a pack of wild wolf dogs. You can go into the medical literature. I can't show it because of YouTube, but you can go in. It's accessible, I think, to the public, to everyone. And you can see what it looks like when a bunch of dogs attack a human body. It was heavily studied because it's the only time they've ever seen it. And you can see exactly what it looks like. You can see all these different bite marks, the kind that are like the pulling kind, the kind that are like, where it looks like a little dot and the teeth go all the way in, like a little hole almost. To me, it looks like a BB gun, like somebody got shot with a BB gun, just like this little weird hole. So you can see all the different ways that a dog can bite and what it looks like on skin. And that was very helpful. That, for me, made it much easier for me to go, oh, this is what's going on here. Also, the Garrett Wing interview, if you have never seen that, that is super helpful. Melanie Little did an interview with the police dog handler, Garrett Wing, in January of 2024. Really, oh my God, so insightful. I learned so much about dogs, about German Shepherds, all kinds of stuff that, I didn't need to know, but it was really, really interesting. And of course, he was on the witness list for the second trial, but they never needed to call him. So, I think you're right. I mean, I think that is what happened. I think Chloe was involved. The question is, obviously Colin was involved because these people cannot get out of their own way. I'd love to say Colin was home sleeping, giving mommy and daddy kisses, but he wasn't. And obviously their behavior does nothing but make him look more guilty with every passing second. It's like in their effort to protect him, they are making him appear to be hiding something. And it is becoming so obvious. It's painful. It's like impossible not to look closer at. And now, you can't even feel bad for these people anymore. They're just doing it to themselves, right? I mean, you guys, you did this to yourself. So, blame Karen Reed, blame Aidan Kearney, the narrative, we're all brainwashed, whatever. We have eyes, and the reality is you guys are so defensive. You are doubling down. You are absconding. You are obfuscating. You are hiding him, doing anything you can so that he is not in a position to feel any heat whatsoever, because clearly you don't trust him. And that's not, we're not delusional. That's what's happening. And it's real easy for anybody to see at this point. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Larry, for coming on and allowing us to be with you. That was so much fun. Denise, you're the best moderator in the whole world. I know there's a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do tonight, but I can't because I have to drive back to New York City. We will, I promise you, we will continue this conversation, and I will point out to you for next time, assuming nothing else comes up, though it always does. We'll take a closer look at the Life 360, Allie's testimony, and the key bits that are just so painfully incriminating about all of it. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night or your Thursday morning, and I will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
This is me reminding you once again to like the video, like this video, like the video, like this video right now.